I found out, oh God, since the last time on the show, I found out I don't have any testosterone.
Oh no,
none. Like,
Zero?
okay, so it was actually not that long after the last appearance on the show. I started going crazy, like cuckoo bananas crazy.
Okay.
I would go a week without sleeping. I would be hyper aggressive, paranoid. I had all sorts of weird behavioral problems that I barely just kept my shit together good enough to make a stream every day and make everybody think I was normal. I decided something's wrong. So I went to the doctor and we did the diagnosis and stuff. And I thought that they were going to tell me that I had bipolar disorder, manic and depressive or whatever, because I had all the symptoms were there. And a friend of mine, J-Hub, told me, hey, man, check your testosterone just in case. And I told the doctor, and I wanted some lab work. I wanted to make sure I didn't have like a brain tumor or something that's driving me crazy. And the testosterone, the doctor's like, well, that's really weird because low test usually results in, for the brevity of this show, beta male type symptoms. You lower muscle mass, smaller body, really passive, low sex drive. I was the opposite. I was like Mr. Energy, go all the time, couldn't keep my dick in my pants, want to fight constantly. And I did it, and I found out that I had the testosterone of a 90-year-old man. Like I had single-digit testosterone numbers, and my entire system was totally out of balance.
You know what they were? Your T numbers?
It was like somewhere between 9 and like 11 or 12. It was just.
Are you talking about free testosterone or total?
It was like measured in nanoliters or something. I know that the average was like 700 for men, if I'm not mistaken. But mine was like it was like way down there, like all in comical land. So I had to start taking Clomid, which is a fertility drug for women, but it has a side effect of boosting testosterone in men. So now I'm back to normal. And all of the weird behavioral problems went away, and I can think more clearly. And I don't really weird thing, but I still can't grow a fucking beard. I think I'm just too old for that.
It's funny, I might not ever put you on actual testosterone.
I didn't want it.
Oh, what was the thought process there?
It can cause cancer. It's bad for your health in the long run. And there was an alternative method that might have worked. The pills don't have the same side effects that the injections do, and thankfully they worked for me.
Okay,
but it's like really low T bad for cancer risks and shit.
Also. It can be, but it was really weird because usually you think like low muscle mass, like really like small, skinny guys. I didn't really have that problem, but I still had like basically no testosterone. And you have no idea how much it pissed me the fuck off. Because my whole gaming career, I've been told that I look like a woman, very feminine, no beard. And, after so many years of that, it got really annoying, right?
You do have soft, kissable lips. I know.
Soft, kissable lips is, that one, even with the Clomid, I'm still seeing it.
In the dark, we can both.
When I doctor, low testosterone in my head, I just hear all of those comments, and I'm like, these fucking trolls were right. God damn it!
They were right the whole time. I can't let them know.
The only real difference is that I can now build muscle mass more easily, and since I'm stuck at home, all I do is work out. Yay, fun!
Nice,
cool. So
how long? What was the period of time that you were just like 0 T? Like.
I don't know. It might have been my whole life for all I know. I don't have a beard.
Current T levels? Did you get measured after the Clomid?
Yeah, it was basic. I don't remember the numbers. They have the little bands that show you the ranges of normal, and mine were pretty much right in the middle, so that's where they were supposed to be.
Ooh. Well,
you don't take it. You still take it now?
Yeah.
So are you on it for life?
I was supposed to have quit last year or like some months ago because what they want to do is retest and see if the levels have dropped or I stopped taking, then we retest and see if my system's restarted and it's going naturally. But because of the Rona, I don't go anywhere. No dentist, no doctor. And if I'm not dying, I'm not going anywhere. I've got like 3 or 4 refills with no checkup or anything.
When people do test cycles, they take something to kickstart their system, right? Like if you just inject testosterone, your own system can turn off. Cool.
Yes.
But then you can kickstart it when you're done injecting testosterone. And is that Clomid that they take? Do you know?
Yeah, I know it's one of the couple of things. I know it felt really weird when I Googled it, and it's like Clomid helped me make 4 babies, and it's like all women.
I think they use things like Clomid and Nolvadex for PCT, post-cycle therapy. Because your body's testosterone shuts down from the exogenous testosterone that you've been injecting into your body. It's like, we've got plenty. Yeah,
we had a Patreon who took testosterone or something, and he bought the post-cycle therapy at the same time. And somehow I never thought of that. Like I was like, that sounds wow, because that was like a fear I would have. Like if I were to do T, then I would shut down. So he just bought what you need to kickstart it at the same time he bought the tea. And it's a level of thinking ahead that really shouldn't be so amazing to me, yet it was.
You
Worked for him.
should double up. So you went from angry and depressed and manic depressed feeling to feeling good. You up that tea even more.
Mhm.
You become an even better version of yourself, right?
I don't know, man. I have a feeling I might just loop back around if it's on.
Oh,
like
no.
And then you
wait.
push through again to the other side.
Yeah, you can loop twice.
My wife, she's laying in bed right now while we record this going, I want a completely emotionally unstable man that could blow up at any time. That sounds lovely.
So
Women love it.
did your libido go even higher on the Clomid? No, it just stayed in a
stayed
good
the same.
spot. Okay. I thought you might say yes. All right. I don't know. But that's cool, man.
Really blessed in that regard. It could have gone down. It oddly could have gone up. It was abnormally high with no testosterone. I don't know why. But
Some guys just want to get it.
Well, plenty
more
of
about
women want to get it, and they have low T.
oh, true.
I didn't look
You
at
probably
it. from
had
that
high
lens.
estrogen and low testosterone, I would imagine.
Yeah, did they say you had like weird estrogen levels?
Were they surprised that you were always a man? They're like, your
no.
transition physician should have taken care of this for you. I'm so sorry, ma'am. How have you been?
It's weird.
How
Because
many
of all
years?
Huh?
How many years have you been living like this, ma'am? I'm so sorry.
Dude, you're hitting me right in my feels. I've had fans tell me that I'm like a trans icon in the gaming space. And I'm like,
Are you serious?
like that's great that you have a role model, but that's not really me. It's cool that you look up to me like that. But the worst was I was doing a charity event. And I had a guy come sit down, turned out to be wanting to be trans, and just like I'm like trying to raise money for Chairs Like Gamers for Giving, and the guy just dropped his whole life story on me about how inspirational I was about my sexuality and how I look trans and it's great for gaming, and how he wants to get his penis cut off, but he likes jerking off too much. And I'm sitting here and I'm like on stream.
Now
it's
you're
a
hurting
public
me in the feels. This is hitting kind of close, Drifter.
yeah, no. And I'm sitting here trying so hard. I'm like, yeah, guys, let's donate some money and feed these children. And on the side, it's like, yeah, man, if I didn't like to beat my dick so much, I would totally become trans. I'm like, oh, fucking shit. Like, this is not the time for this.
I actually don't. Can't you be trans and keep your dick?
Most do, because surgery is dangerous and not necessarily effective.
And not very aesthetically pleasing either, if I might add.
I need to Google this. Actually, I'm. What am I? An amateur? I need to Bing this.
Yeah, dang it.
Yeah,
dude.
it's a goddamn mess. They haven't perfected that one yet. They're working on it.
they're working on it. They'll loop back with
I don't know how we got on there. Yeah, low test was that was a weird time in my life. I did YouTube videos about it and stuff too, to like help encourage other men to go get checked. And thankfully, quite a few of my fans reached out to me and like, holy shit, I was having problems and I went and got checked and I didn't know it was this. So I did some good, but at the same time, it's like the most embarrassing video you can make or close to it as a YouTuber. I can't say that now. Too many YouTubers are touching kids these days. So
There you go.
it's up there though. It's not
Don't
an
do
easy
that.
video. No, don't do that. That's very bad. Very, very bad.
Unless they're picking on you over and over, and then you might have to lay hands on them.
Ooh.
This one's all the time I can see
The video.
hand.
I've seen some results. Yeah, it's a shame they can't get it better.
It's a shame they can't get it better. What a polite way to put it. I just looked. I was looking at I just typed in Drifter testosterone to see the videos you made. It said your first time shaving was at 30. Was that? Is that
First
true?
time to do a serious shave. I used to shave like once every 2 months. I had one razor that lasted like a decade, and I could go what and done on all 10 hairs that would grow. But now I have to shave like once every 3 or 4 weeks. It gets a little bit peach fuzzy.
Wow, maybe you did just go through like your whole life up to that point. Like that's why you save money on toiletries for the rest of your life.
Do you have body hair? Like, do you have chest hair?
I do now. My left nipple has a shit ton of hair.
This is so great.
Righty catch up.
Do you want me to just like zoom in and put my nipple hair on stream for
But
you
wait,
guys?
not your right nipple?
Actually,
just the-
let me check. I don't know what your content stuff is. I'm gonna step over to the side.
Well, I was going to ask about this earlier. If a trans man can show their chest on Twitch,
Definitely the right nipple.
Wait, so you said, the right nipple has it, and the left doesn't.
Just a little bit over here. You know, this one's like a couple of free strands. This one is like trying to do like an 80s chest thing.
I now I have a lightly haired chest, but as a teenager, I had these 2 fucking sunflowers. It's the cool hair pattern is like the middle, right? If you're gonna get any, is that what you have, Kyle?
It is.
That's
it is.
the first
I just got like a
choice.
strip like straight down the middle.
What I have now is like
everywhere.
I bet you do.
What I have now is fine, but what I had as a teenager was just the 2 fucking sunflowers, and it was the worst.
You didn't shave them?
What I did is I shortened. I felt like you know what? I thought that the worst, like if I were to stack rank, the worst thing you could have would be stubble, because that like to me like exposes that you're shaving it and it doesn't look right and stuff.
Sure.
So and then the second worst was like the actual sunflowers themselves. And then what I went with was just trim them down, make them less noticeable, short but not stubble. You know, so it looked a little better.
Yeah.
I remember like when I started getting chest hair when I was much younger, they all came in the nipple area at first. And then like, if you've ever seen the beginning of Lord of the Rings, where it shows how the orcs begin to conquer the free peoples of Middle Earth, and there's that loud spread, it was so fast that just like spread to the rest of my chest. And I remember at one point I was getting closer to like more of a full chest of hair, but my nipples were still like, they had the most hair around them in that region. And so I like took a like razor and like shaved around my nipples and like looked in the mirror, and it was like two nipples on Hair Island, just right in the mirror. And I was like, thank God it is December. I can never do this again. And by the time those grew in, it was like, all right, there's enough chest hair everywhere now that nothing's sticking out.
Taylor tells this puberty story that I can't relate to. He's like, puberty, you know how it is. It hits you like a ton of bricks. I went from boy to man over the summer. No. My puberty trickled in over a long period of time. My fucking, like I had pubic hair on either, like if my head's a penis, they clumped in on the sides. And it took like a year to join in the middle. Fuck,
I swear it was like a real time David Attenborough time lapse. Like you could see the hair growing. Like if you just would have put a camera on my chest or on my dick or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it hit me. Kyle was more in the middle. Puberty hit me like a fucking train. I remember I showed up to 8th grade, the beginning of 8th grade, after not seeing, you know how showing up beginning of whatever grade it is, you see your friends, but you also see a bunch of people that you're friendly with, but you're not friends enough. So you just didn't see him for the 3 months. And there's this Indian kid that I was that kind of friends with. And I show up there and I said in like my changed voice, like, hey, what's up, dude? How you doing? He was like, damn, you lucked out with puberty. I'm still waiting. And like, that was his takeaway. He was like, oh man, you got hit by the bus. I'm really hoping that bus swings by for me next so I can start. Sorry that never happened for you, man. He got he got all the hair in the world. Not a lot more height. Very nice guy though. Haven't talked to him.
That very nice guy. Lots of people talking about him. One of the nicest guys you've ever seen.
But yeah, puberty was a good time. If I could do it again, I would.
Wait, what?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't.
I hear like the downsides of being the guy who gets lots of puberty, and it's like, oh, how rough it must be. Could you suddenly beat up the whole grade? Like, yeah.
There was no downside to it. It was like, oh, nice. I'm going to get an edge in sports, like against people who haven't gotten that edge yet.
Yeah,
it's rough to be the opposite because there's always like that couple of guys in my high school. They would be like 17, 18 and still kind of look like 12 and 13-year-old boys, like no puberty. So I was like that, and I had the baby face, right? But I was still like a big, tall guy. But there were people be like guys like 5'3", baby face, slightly squeaky voice, 17 years old, brutal. All the girls are like, oh, he's so cute. He's like my little brother, and you could just see him fuming, just like the bagel boss.
Yeah, pretty much. There was a kid at my school who had that same kind of problem. And I think when he was like 16 or something, they took him to a doctor because he was still like the size of an 11, 12-year-old. He was really little. And they didn't give him Clomid, the thing you had. They gave him like actual testosterone injections to try and kickstart puberty. And so he had to go to like multiple sessions until finally like I guess it's like artificial insemination. Like it just catches sometimes, and it's like, oh, the T caught in its beginning, and then like at 17, he like began a fast forwarded version of puberty, and like because it was like a delayed onset puberty, it's not like he's far and away. He's way shorter and smaller than he would have been if he would have hit it at normal time. Because like it's not like your body just like saves up hormone like that's not a video game. Like if you don't kick off puberty when you're meant to, like you're gonna like you're gonna be delayed in a lot of ways, which sucks. He did get to like a more normal height. Like you wouldn't stare at him in a crowd or anything. He's like 5'7" or so. But yeah, it's like his brothers and his dad are all like 6 foot or above, and so it's like he clearly got screwed out of like 5 inches of height there.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I would be so mad.
That sucks. He'll never get a match on Tinder. He's not 6'5".
Oh, that's funny. You're a tall guy, aren't you? You said
6'1", I'd probably say.
Yeah, that is strange to like not have to shave, no body hair really, but you're still much taller than average.
I was always on the skinnier side, but I wasn't like you'd stereotype like having like no muscle, being like having like little girl arms and stuff like that. No, it's just like a kind of like a lanky, wiry guy, played sports and stuff. Never would have thought. I had no inclination other than I had really no symptoms until much later in life. I just went crazy for like 6 months.
It's so bizarre. You mentioned you're working out a ton. Do you have a home gym that you do?
Really sad little home gym. It's basically an empty room that I don't know what to put in. So I put in the only weights that are available on Amazon for less than $500 and a pull-up bar. I have a fucking Titanfall 2 collectible box that I slapped a computer monitor onto so I can plug my phone into it and play whatever on the TV and pretend I'm at the gym. So it's just like a shit ton of push-ups and sit-ups and all that kind of stuff, little dumbbell work, and been doing that since the beginning. I think it's paid off. I'm in much better shape than before. I don't really look much more handsome, but functionally better. Another thing is I totally fucked up my spine last year. Like almost couldn't walk and stuff, couldn't sit to game. And working out was like a big part of physical therapy.
How'd you do
that the way, one part genetics. The men in my family have weak, what is it, the fascia bones? It's the little hooks on your spine that keep it, locked together. My family has them thin. I shattered them some years ago. No damage. And then a couple of years, I was sitting in a DX racer chair for a little bit too long, and the vertebra just slipped.
Oh.
And we got it checked. They found out that it was never really attached right to begin with. So I was fucked up for like 6 months.
Did you change chairs?
Yeah. Oh, this baby right here. This is a $1,500 Herman Miller chair. This is the same one that Logitech sells.
The Infusion.
Yeah. Standing desk too. You can see it moving up and down if I need it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Not as much anymore.
Do you find that chair to be hot?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, all chairs are hot. I mean, I got big ass turkey thighs and I just sweat here when I'm gaming. So there's that.
Chairs are not hot. I was looking at that. I like my chair. I have a Herman Miller Arion. I super like it. I really, really like it. Yeah, but it is old. So I was thinking, like, should I get another one just like it, or should I get the Infusion? I don't know.
I think going for the Embody is the Embody, and I think this is the best choice. The Logitech G one is the same thing as this, but more expensive. You can get this one for like $1,200 on Amazon, depending on the sales and stuff.
I must have the name wrong. Okay, yeah, an Embody then. Yeah, and I noticed they were this. Like at first, I thought it was an all new thing, but now I see it's it's kind of rebranded. I don't know if the Logitech version might be the Embody with every bell and whistle. Like there's options on chairs. You wouldn't think. No. What? Tell me what you know. The difference is
fabric. There's gel in the seat, and there's a different fabric here that's supposed to wick away sweat. I don't think Logitech was very happy with me because they sent me one of those chairs to review after like 6 months of telling me it was going to be a custom design thing. So I got it and I took it apart and compared the parts. And I'm like, guys, this is literally exactly the Embody with a different piece of fabric on it. And they're like, well, we disagree. I'm like, well, it's not going to be ethical for me to promote this if I can get it for $400 cheaper somewhere else, the same product. And we had a pretty big breakdown of communication over that one. But no, it's the same thing. So
disagree. Like you disassembled it and said the parts were the same.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think they were on the design team. Essentially, what they did is licensed Herman Miller products. So it is a Herman Miller Embody, and the fabric, like this gray stuff, they put a different material on there that's supposed to be more esports. But the base of the chair and the crazy, you can't see it. There's like a goofy, like fancy spine thing that doesn't work. It's the same. And they have like a desk, like a standing like uplift desk, like a Logitech G1, and it's the exact same thing as the Herman Miller one. And I probably shouldn't talk bad about one of the companies that sponsors me, but on that particular product line, we had a breakdown. All the others, my mouse and keyboards, I love, but I just didn't feel right to recommend the chairs.
Huh. Well,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I have the Arion. I don't have any deals with anybody, and I really like it. I bought mine as a refurb, and the post in the middle in particular, it seems like it's aging. Like it every couple of days, I have to pull it up again. It's like this dated. That's all.
Always worth the money to have a good chair, especially for your guys' position. Like,
Yeah, if you spend a lot of time in it, it's like a bed. You know, like you don't want to put money into it, but if you think about how often you use it, a good place to put your money.
I bought a cyber bed.
Did you guys hear about Drifter at his T levels?
Yes.
Yeah, he was on the show and we talked about it, and I was like I watch enough like Derek for More Plates, More Dates, and like stuff like that to know that like Clomid for TRT is like not a common thing and doesn't make any sense. And then
there's some danger to it also.
Kyle, are you up to date on the very recent update?
I saw the thumbnail that said that like Drifter almost dies after stopping Clomid for
A lot of health
TRT.
problems. Yeah. A lot of health
His Drifter's very COVID sensitive, right? He's worried about it, and this doctor is like, "Why don't you come into the office?" He's like, "Dude, this is a bunch of boomers with no masks. I don't want to do that." And he's like, "Well, okay, over the phone, I just recommend you cut the Clomid cold turkey. You know, no post cycle therapy, nothing. Just cut it and see how that works for you." And it went bad for him in a half dozen different ways. You know, his mood was terrible. I'm trying to remember some of the he was nauseous. He had like blood sugar regulation issues, if I recall correctly, and he had to eat, but eating made him nauseous. So it was this battle to like eat, even though he didn't want to. And it was just terrible, terrible. And he got back on the Clomid and he feels better now. But
I don't know why he's doing the why
So
does
he
he
got
just
hypothermia,
yeah,
What, like,
hypothermia.
Yeah.
rapidly weakening joints, that fractured.
instead of using fucking something that's
What is Clomid for again?
It's
Ideally.
used for post cycle therapy for one thing to like kickstart the body's natural T. But I think originally I may have read it had something to do with like breast cancer or something
I think
that.
its primary purpose is for helping women get pregnant. And yeah, but it can also be an indirect way for a guy to kickstart his testosterone production.
After he's like tamped it down by using exogenous hormones. You know, if you're injecting testosterone, your body says, "Oh, well, you don't need the balls to make it anymore. You seem to be getting it from somewhere else." And then when you cut the T, then all of a sudden you're like, your body doesn't go, "Oh shit, no T. Let's get the balls in order." The body's like, "What happened? I don't feel so good."
So Kyle's right, but in the case of Drifter, he just kickstarting it because his body wasn't working. He never abused steroids to get in that position. He just got unlucky.
Well, is he gonna switch up his this seems like a pretty getting what do you say, a severe hypoglycemia, so, shattering or fractured joints, like he's going back on the same drug. He's not going to try something new.
So the problem was stopping the drug. And at the end of the video, he got back on the Clomid and now he feels much better.
But he knows like how bad it is to get off now. Like how scary that would be to.
All right. I got my degree by watching ER in Chicago Hope. But if I was his doctor, I would put him on TRT and say, bro, much like a diabetic or someone who's had a lung transfer, you are on a lifetime of medicine now. You're going to take TRT and your T levels will just be where they're supposed to be until the day you die. This is your new life. And that's where I would put him.
Yeah, I feel like he should be talking to that doctor like, hey, this sort of withdrawal or whatever this was, we're not doing this again. That's not okay. But find me something better. Like
he said he felt like he was held hostage because he has to. He's pretty much. I think he said he has to take this for the rest of his life to get like regulated.
By that, like I take an antacid every day. I don't feel held hostage by private sex.
Captain has you by the short hairs, you bitch.
Like I don't feel. I'm like, yeah, no heartburn for me. I can eat. I can put Tabasco on my food if I want. I don't get it. Like if your body's not making testosterone, then why go in this roundabout way with Clomid? Why not just use a bioidentical hormone and give your body exactly what it wants, which is testosterone?
I don't know enough about any of this to say, but that does sound simpler. Like it sounds similar,
you need to
especially with
watch
like these are some really serious side effects.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's his body. He can do whatever he wants to it.
Yeah. I think he just likes the idea that his tea comes from his balls, even if they need to get kickstarted. He likes that that's the process from which it derives.
Wings was on. Is he on TRT?
I heard he was.
Yeah, he's on like this terrible regimen where he's injecting like 200 milligrams every like 10 or 14 days or something crazy like that. So
what's wrong with that?
Well, like testosterone has like a half-life, right? So it's like, I mean, this isn't a great comparison, but let's say that you compare it to testosterone to like calories that you need to like survive. And you're like, oh yeah, I'll just eat a turkey on Monday and then I'll wait a week and eat another turkey the following Monday. Well, by like the weekend after you ate that turkey on Monday, you're literally starving and your body's falling apart. And like you're way below, you don't have any calories in your body. You're running on fumes. You're eating your body alive. Whereas like if you ate like a turkey leg every day, like maybe that makes a little more sense. Testosterone's the same fucking thing. It's got a half-life of like 8 days or something like that. And if he's doing it every 14 days, then 200 milligrams today is going to skyrocket his levels to this absurdly high level, probably like 1,500 total serum. And then by the end, by 8 days later, it's like half that, which is fine. Okay, now you're high normal. But then 14 days after that, oh, now you've dipped way below normal again. And that fluctuation isn't exactly helpful either.
Yeah, it probably fucks with your mood and all sorts of
your estrogen
body
level,
regulation.
Because the estrogen isn't like, estrogen needs to be at a specific ratio for a man, like a testosterone to estrogen ratio. Having high estrogen isn't bad as long as you have high T to correspond to it. And you can't keep that ratio perfect if your testosterone is going up and then spiking down. Like the estrogen doesn't correspond exactly right. So you get all these weird estrogen levels, lots of fluctuation there. It's not a healthy practice. And it's not what like TRT clinics prescribe.
Well, then why would his doctor have given it to him?
Because he went to a doctor in an office near him. He went to like an endocrinologist, like there in Myrtle Beach. I'm guessing. I don't follow him.
Has he said that he likes it, or made any comments about it?
He just bragged about how he was like, when I worked at Lab Tech, I was certified to give these injections, and it's like, there's no such thing as like an injection certificate. Maybe they gave you like a fucking blue ribbon one day because you like they showed you like which end of a syringe goes where, but like
I do get the tip and the plunger mixed up sometimes, so he's got me.
Yeah, but he almost made it sound like he was like an EMT or something, like he had a degree or like he passed some kind of course. And
maybe Lab Tech has this certification for staff.
I would
try to make a truth out of it.
Possible.
I don't know. Yeah,
anything is possible. But yeah, he's putting that big fat syringe in his, and he's also putting his thigh, right? Which you can end up with like an embolism. You can end up with an infection.
What's an embolism?
I know it's bad.
It's air. So you get and then like if he gets an infection there in his thigh, they've got to cut that out.
Yeah, they got to use like a soil sample corer to get that out.
I wonder how he's doing.
An ice cream scoop.
When we diagnosed Drift0r and we found his pituitary adenoma, like that shit is so rewarding to me. Like being able to be the guy who like found that for him when he's gone years of not knowing what's wrong with him. Like that kind of stuff is like, I'm doing the right thing. Not only can I make money doing it, but like we're fucking helping people too.
Like sure. I've dealt with doctors before, like that didn't know their fucking ass from a hole in the ground. Like I've told this story before. I had syphilis years ago, and they couldn't figure out what the fuck I had. Like I had the skin was peeling off my goddamn palms, and they were putting me on prednisone, which really fucked my whole world up. Like all sorts of awful symptoms from prednisone, side effects from prednisone, and it wasn't even like an effective treatment. I need a shot of penicillin in my ass.
What's prednisone?
Prednisone is a steroid, but it's not the kind that makes you strong.
It's like a corticosteroid.
Yeah, it's anti-inflammatory.
Not the kind you want.
No. And it's, remember in Sopranos when she was getting diarrhea because she was ratting Christopher out to the feds.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we're gonna put you on prednisone. has some side effects though. Could cause something we like to call moon face. And she's like, she's about to go get married, and it's like, yeah. They gave me these like heavy doses of prednisone for a goddamn month, fucking up my like mental state. I was all depressed, like fucking crying and shit. Meanwhile, like we didn't solve the fucking debacle. No doctor ever figured it out. I went on WebMD. All right. Everybody's like, don't go on WebMD and like come up with a bunch of crazy ideas. I went on WebMD and I was like, this is syphilis. I got fucking syphilis.
Yeah. I'm 6 months from being Al Capone pretending to fish.
Yeah.
You know?
I literally ordered a syphilis test off the internet, fucking like pricked my thumb, pissed in a cup, sent it back to them by mail order. They're like, yep, you got the syphilis. And like, I go to my doctor and like my regular doctor, and I'm like, I've got syphilis. That lady you sent me to has had me on prednisone for like 6 fucking weeks. I'm all fucked up. I want some penicillin in my ass right now. And he's like, yeah, God, sorry about that. And like immediately like cures my fucking syphilis.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like we get my blood work, and Derek looks at it, and my TSH levels are like real fucked up. And
What
he's
does
like,
that
it's a thyroid thing, right?
Thyroid stimulating hormone. So it's like what would tell you how much T4 to create. So it's kind of like, it's basically like telling your body has a feedback loop where it's like the TSH goes up if you need to produce more thyroid hormones. So it's kind of like signaling to your body, like make more thyroid. But it's like a signal that if it's too high, it means your thyroid is stressed out basically, because you're like not producing enough hormones. So your body's like increasing the signal, like you need to make more, like stimulating to make more hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone. So it's like,
yeah. I'm off the top of my head, the reference range is like 5 to 7 or something like that, and mine was like 19 or something, like crazy stupid high. And I'm doing my WebMD work again, and it's like pituitary tumor, and I'm like, oh God, no. And Derek's like, let's try some selenium. I'm just like, really, a $12 bottle of pills? Because I think I need a CAT scan. But I took selenium for like a month or 2, 3 months or something like that. And the next time we did blood work, it's like TSH is like right back within the like realm of like safe, healthy levels. I was so happy. So happy.
Yeah, so he was getting the iodine from his diet for the diet we created, as well as the selenium in, which ultimately is what took a lot of burden off. Like that's an example of your micronutrient intake being critical, because a lot of people won't realize that shit, and they'll be like selenium deficient or whatever, and then before they know it, they're like have a hard time losing weight because they're like borderline hypothyroid and they don't know why. Like basic shit like that can be overlooked.
Yeah.
What does selenium do? Like
part of it is it helps like convert T4 to the active thyroid hormone T3, and it helps with a lot of other functions in the body, but mainly from a thyroid perspective, it's like the active component of like conversion to the actual free form T3 that is going to be, it's kind of dictating your metabolism to a certain extent. So if you have low thyroid hormone output, you have a really fucking hard time losing fat, even if you're like dieting as aggressively as like the next guy and he's getting way better results than you. If you're hypothyroid, you could just be having a very difficult time losing weight because your metabolism's like literally slower than the average person.
And what foods do you get selenium in?
I think like some nuts have pretty dense quantities of selenium. Eggs are good. Those are like the best ones off the top of my head. But
Amazon will sell you a bottle of the shit for $12.
Well, that's easier than eating, right?
Load Stack has a big dose of selenium in it.
I was about to say, like, like when I'm taking Load Stack, I cut the other selenium out of my supplementation, because I've always got to keep in mind, like, all right, there's a lot of shit in Load Stack. I gotta be careful here. We're gonna be taking way too much of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so glad that you figured that out, and because I literally thought I had a pituitary tumor. I remember telling Kitty, I was like, pretty sure I've got a tumor in my brain. Like, she's like,
what horrible luck.
Like fucking God, I was super concerned about that. Like whenever I got that blood work back, that was worrying. But yeah, sorted that straight out.
What are the when you're analyzing people, not necessarily athletes, anyone, what are the most common vitamin deficiencies you see in people?
Vitamin K is a big one, which is like something that regulates calcium deposition. So you can end up with clogged arteries really easily if your vitamin K2 intake is not on point. So that's something. That's why Kyle supplements with that K2 supplement, because that's pretty hard to get from food, honestly, getting enough K2. What else? Potassium. Most people are severe, like that's a mineral, but most people are like, they get enough sodium, they salt the fuck out of their food, but they don't have enough potassium to kind of like counterbalance it. And then they end up with high blood pressure or other like dysregulated fluid retention issues. The potassium is huge, which is like most people are getting barely anything, but you need like 4,700 milligrams a day as your RDA. Whereas, so a lot of people are salting their shit, but not having any potassium. That's a big one, as well as magnesium. That's big. I don't know, like some of the B vitamins, like you get kind of.
Yeah, I take magnesium as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Magnesium is pretty hard to get through food, honestly. Like, especially if you're in a calorie deficit, that's where the supplements can actually really help, because it's pretty hard to keep your micronutrients like peaked when you're eating like 2,500 calories, for example.
Yep.
So off the top of my head, other stuff like some of the B vitamins can be difficult for some people, depending on if they're getting enough red meat or other stuff. One of the best things I can recommend, some people can't stand it, and this is why I'm probably going to come out with like a beef liver capsule supplement, but just having an ounce of cooked beef liver every day. I do that and I don't mind the taste, but that is like nature's multivitamin. You hit so many of your micronutrient needs just by having like 1 ounce of beef liver every day.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'll keep taking my pills.
Yeah.
Oh, you just gotta. I was gonna say you have to fry it, but now I'm defeating the purpose.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. Like people ask me about like meal prep.
Coating it in ice cream.
Yeah,
I mean, fried chicken liver is not bad. It tastes pretty good.
Doing better, I think, for the most part. It's been a wild journey. In the pre-show, we were just talking. I was like, yeah, it's been like a month or two. And the guys were like, no, it's been like 8 or 9. I've kind of been out of it for a bit, but I'm back. I'm here hanging out, having some fun, and things are going good.
Yeah, good. How's it has been so long. Last time we spoke to you, you were like tinkering with your tea medication. And I think Kyle was saying like, what you want to do is not do the thing that prevents that.
So here's what was up.
He was on. I'm going right into that. All right.
Kickstart your body to make tea. And we were like, why not just take tea? And then you synced up with Derek from More Plates, More Dates. He discovered, I think, a tumor on your pituitary gland. Am I getting this right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Which was preventing your body from wanting to make tea. And they put you on tea. And last I heard, you were in just happy land. But I guess I'm out of date.
It's been a bizarre almost 9 months. So I'll try to do the shortest version of this possible. Not long after the show that we did, my body basically totally shit the bed, and every system you can think of that could failed. Temperature regulation, nervous system, sense of orientation, balance, mental confusion. There was all the like muscle wasting, like ridiculous stuff.
Was this all at once?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
I went from literally like 100 push-ups warm up every day to laying in bed 18 hours a day within a week. So we did a whole bunch of stuff. I must have seen 15 different doctors, and most of them kind of blew me off. They're like, you're fine, go home. This is stress, go home. You're making this up, go home. And after Derek reached out to me, and I think I initially didn't even respond appropriately to him because I was just like out of my mind. But I apologized, and we did link up, and he introduced me to his doctors, and we did a ridiculous test. Like, they took out 8 vials of blood from me, over 200 different things tested.
Damn.
And based on all of that, there wasn't any, well, there were problems, but not like normal ones. So they told me I really need to get a pituitary MRI. One doctor said, nah, you're fine. I went and saw another one who was more serious. I was like, okay, let's order this pituitary MRI. And they found a very small tumor and or lesion on the pituitary gland, microadenoma, thankfully, not macro. That's bad. Mm-hmm. And the weird thing is that while, yes, there is a tumor there, it's incredibly small. And the doctor said it's very unlikely to be causing even a fraction of the problems that I'm experiencing. Okay. So they referred me to the only pituitary endocrinologist in my city. And it turned out to be like a Dr. House kind of guy. And instead of the doctors, no. Like all the doctors are like just blowing you off. Lupus. Go home, eat healthy. Don't, you should work out more, some crap like that. Yeah. And this guy just comes in, is like, I've never seen this before. That's exciting. Let's figure out what's going on. And he put me on this program of trying basically a new med every 2 months and testing to see if he could kind of isolate what system was going wrong. I did a lot of that. Derek's recommendation was immediately go to TRT. The pituitary endocrinologist is like, no, if we try different meds and sections, we might see which section is not cooperating properly.
Okay.
Turned out we learned nothing, and I wasted my time, and I went through about 4 major hormone changes in 8 months, which is lovely.
Jeez.
That's one way to do it.
Wait,
Yeah.
so this whole time you're like on these different pills, just up and down and no stability, just probably depressed as shit.
Wild. I
Do you have a
there were-
temper?
I only have a temper when my testosterone gets below 100.
Okay.
But before that, no. On and off the pills, I did have an issue where I would randomly cry about once a week. I would just be like eting my dinner and be like,
That's like saying I get
going on
sleepy
here?
when my heart rate gets below 4.
or like, we'll do a fun one. One time I woke up in the middle of the night with an ice cold boner. It was like having a popsicle in your
Oh no.
hand. But I mean, it was like
boner?
dead flesh, man. It was fucking terrifying. So we go through all this crap.
Wait. It was hard and cold?
Yes.
How's that happen? Your
She
blood
should have hopped
fucking
on. You don't get to experience that very much. This is a once in a time opportunity.
So we do all this stuff, and then I finally get pretty stable, just basic Clomid with no anastrozole. And they're like, okay, this is looking good. In a couple of weeks, we're going to move you to TRT and see how that works. And then everything goes cuckoo bananas crazy with my body, and my hands, which are fine now, more or less stopped working. I thought I got carpal tunnel like overnight, and they've just been
Jesus Christ.
fucked up for like 2 months. I have the grip strength of a 5-year-old girl. I can.
God,
type
I'm
for,
glad
like,
we're not in a
10 minutes.
studio together right now.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Keeping my
Yeah, no.
distance, motherfucker. What's wrong with you?
Dude, I went to go see doctors about it, got every test imaginable, and it all came back, you're fine. And I'm like here, and I'm like, I can barely brush my teeth. It's not fine. And it's been kind of a wild ride, but literally 3 days ago, I got some clarity. Apparently, I have the muscles in my neck are too tight and stuff, and I am crushing an artery and closing it shut. So my arms and hands and a lot of my upper body are getting about half of the amount of blood that they need. This is suspected, and you need an MRI to prove it. So they're trying various things to open up these arteries, and when they do, like it's kind of like a manual massage release. I can watch the veins in my hand just go poof, and the pain goes away. So let's hope that trend continues. But dude, I've been all over the world, like more doctors and more crap, barely uploading to YouTube. It's been a not so very fun journey. But that's, I guess if you have questions, that's fine. But it's something I don't even like to talk about too much these days.
I can't imagine
I
why.
feel you. Yeah, it sounds horrible. It sounds really, really difficult to deal with.
Oh goodness.
Just totally
Yeah,
dominating your life
the
and not
thing
getting
is, like,
answers.
The thing is, it's ongoing, huh? Like this is just an ongoing, continuing thing. That's rough, man. I'm sorry.
I have to go see a geneticist on Monday.
A geneticist.
We're hitting the point where
Well,
it's
you're
kind of
human.
like, what do you want to name your disease?
Oh, drifter disease.
Oh God! Oh no! Why would I do that? They mentioned screwing up, putting the 0 in there, and it would screw up all the spelling and typing in the medical textbooks.
and you do one of those things like what Mountain Dew and Doritos do when they come out with a new flavor and like have your fans vote on what to name the disease.
No.
Yes.
Let 4chan ruin it. It'll be like Hitler syndrome.
It'll be like you have Hitler did nothing wrong disease.
Yeah, just like the Mountain Dew. We're not going to go with the Hitler did nothing wrong berry.
The important part of all of that is that Derek really helped me a lot and kind of put me on the right path toward figuring things out. So thank God.
Yeah, I mean, like, must have been infuriating having so many doctors straight up tell you, like, you're imagining this. Go do more push-ups.
Yeah, no, I literally had doctors to tell me to eat more meat and do push-ups. I had one of them tell me that, like, oh, I wish I could sell your blood. It's so good. I went to go see an endocrinologist, and I told him my testosterone was like 50, and they're like, so? And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, it's fucking
What is it? 300
bizarre.
to 900? Is that the range? 300 to 700?
Yeah, for a vagina.
It's like,
I mean,
for all of us
normal.
here, probably like 800 would be normal.
Yeah. Like 800 would be really high. Like I think they did this test of Olympic athletes, and like the average was like 450. Like 450, 500 is pretty average. Like most people would be very happy to be 900 or 1,000.
Jeff Nippert did a video. If you don't know him, he's a fitness YouTuber, and he's jacked, short but jacked. And he did a bunch of other guys who like compete in physique competitions, and they were in the upper 400s. So
it's not as high as I would have guessed.
No,
I thought it would have been
me
something
neither.
just
I
insane.
thought those guys, right? These are guys that you wish you looked like, right? You know, they're statues carved of marble. And I'm like, you're under 500? Oh, if somebody's 900, I thought it'd be you. You know?
Yeah.
I'm under 500 now.
Speaking of the spooky season, you have a demon tale for us?
I do. We're going off the rails here tonight. All right, so you guys believe in demons? You think they're supernatural beings bumbling around, invisible all around us?
I don't think so. But
I think they're mostly
anything could
in
be
your
out there.
dreams, but because you literally have described like meeting a demon man in your dream, which sounds like the scariest thing ever.
Someone would have gotten a good demon photo by now.
I'm gearing up for
yeah.
imagination. Do you guys want to do another story time about demons?
And real
Yes.
life are different.
I'm gonna need a
Okay.
soda if you've got a demon story.
I
'cause
do.
that's gonna- okay,
I do
let me-
have a
let me-
demon story. Do you
let
want
me
to
get
go?
a soda.
Let Kyle grab his soda real
We're gonna
quick,
go.
and then you can
spooky
regale
season. This
us.
is perfect. It's Halloween. Let's talk about ghosts
This
and
is
ghouls and goblins and stuff.
Exclusively ghoul and goblin talk.
So I'll tell you about a demon I saw once. Real nasty piece of shit.
Goblins, probably the least scary of the goblins, demons, ghouls
Yeah.
kind of triad.
Think of them like ghoulies coming out of the toilet. You know, little
Yeah,
munchkin type
they're
things.
not scary. Like goblins are. I feel like goblins would be scary because you know that his demon master's nearby, right? But
What
the
is the least
goblin,
scary? Are trolls part of this?
it depends on the kind of troll. If it's like the kind with the belly button ring, not scary. If it's like the Lord of the Rings kind of troll,
They're
very
troublesome.
scary. Yeah, they'll kill you.
I always thought zombies, zombies, of course, again, depends on the kind of zombies. If they're the
Yeah.
28 days later zombies where they run, and if they get even like remotely near
Yeah.
you or like sneeze in your direction, then you have it in 5 seconds. And if the person gets a scratch on them, you have to immediately murder your wife because
Yeah.
she's about to become the most lethal predator that's ever been. All right, that's scary. But Walking Dead zombies, my gosh. Yeah. Single people take out dozens of them.
That's a cakewalk. Yeah,
There's thousands of them. It's a numbers issue.
It is a numbers issue. I follow, but they're also quite slow. Now, they don't get tired, but it seems like you can relocate. And they have been in a horde, and they just murder their way out of the horde, and they're okay.
them not getting tired would be a big thing because like if they see the direction you're going, you could hoof it and get out of like sight range. And then what? All right, I'll take watch. Everybody sleep for 2.5 hours until they arrive and we wake up and then we run on exhausted legs. Like they'd get you eventually if they
Go
like could
someplace
track you.
accessible by ladder, like a rooftop, and
You're right. That solves it
Or
entirely.
somewhere really cold.
climb
If it's
a
cold,
fence.
they freeze.
But like the 28 weeks later one, like not only are they faster, like they're faster than Usain Bolt and they can climb ladders faster than firemen. Like everything gets improved when they become a zombie. So they're impossible to take down. The most unbelievable part of 28 Days Later is like, oh no, there wouldn't be a hideout in this scenario. No one would have survived this. You'd be so fucked.
No,
You'd be
that's
tracked
not
down
true.
so quickly.
There's like billions of people. There have to be a few that stayed inside.
Maybe.
What's
But
the
there's
scenario?
We're talking about
28 days later.
Yeah, 28 Days Later zombies are out there. There's not going to be a huge resistance like Walking Dead. Like they're too quick. They even like they have like scenes in 28 Days Later where you can see like the zombie thinking things through and like, oh, I recognize the tactic of the non-zombies.
Well, the
I'm
thing
gonna
about the
circumvent
28
that.
days later scenarios, those are crazies, technically speaking, because they're still alive. They're just crazy, like psychopathic, rabid people. So, like, it
didn't
is
know
a
that.
little bit more difficult to deal with that.
They're zombies for the sake. Of
Yeah. Actually, they're not zombies. Oh, you hush. They are zombies.
They are violent
I see that
homunculi.
because like they're not going to decompose or anything, right? Like they're
but
just
they
going to
could
eventually
starve.
get old and die.
They could starve, yeah, but they eat each other probably. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I don't know.
Like they're not because it just seems to me like zombies are kind of like supernatural for in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like those Walking Dead zombies should have like fallen over by now.
Yeah, they would.
They don't
That's-
call
that's
them
the plot
zombies
in the
Walking
movie.
Dead either. So
28 days
Yeah,
later,
the
the
word
movie
doesn't
plot is they
exist.
chain him up to see how long he takes to starve.
Mhm. And then they can't even keep the one that's chained up from fucking someone up when they go in the courtyard. That's how wily they are. But speaking of the spooky season, you have a demon tale for us?
I do. We're going
So,
off the
go ahead.
rails here tonight. All right. So, little context. As a child, I always used to see things: ghosts, demons, goblins, monsters, voices, all this shit constantly. I hated it. But it was a part of my reality, but it got lesser as I got older. So probably something growing up, environmental, hormonal, whatever.
Yeah.
This was probably about, I was like 12, 13 years old. And in that time, I was very tired of this aspect of my life. So I used to try to take pictures of things like that whenever it would pop up, whenever I would see it, because I figured ghosts hate cameras, right?
Yeah. Well,
and I was living in a place in Kentucky that I considered to be extremely haunted. I have a story about an evil doll I can tell you as well. Or dolls, plural, that move on their own. So I was freaked out. I was like a little nervous ball of mess of a kid. Every fucking day there was a voice or a noise or some goddamn light or some spooky thing or some problem, at least a couple times a week, right?
Can you describe like what it was you were seeing? Like a fully formed thing, a shadow?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
So in the context of this story, I'm minding my own business in my bedroom. I'm just cleaning it. I'm like 12, 13. It's a mess, right? And it's a nice like old wood cabin kind of place. So we have these wood doors with the complicated grain pattern and stuff. And I'm minding my own business and I look over at the door and I watch it like warble very briefly as if something is trying to push through the wood grain pattern. Now, here's the bizarre thing. What you're probably imagining is something like the Predator or like an elite from Halo standing in front of it with like the light bending. But it was more like my brain was opening to a pattern in the wood grain that I could previously not perceive, but now that I could. And it was both moving and not moving at the same time. And it was wiggling and wobbling and coming together. And it formed the shape of something that I would say would be a cartoon demon, something like you would imagine out of an 80s or 90s scary movie, you know, demonic goat legs, scary hands with nails and horns and whatnot. Huge, full frame of the door just standing there. And it's like, hi. I'm like flipping out. I'm like turning white and I'm like just fucking scared shitless. And the thing starts talking to me and telling me how fun it's been to play with me and that my brother's on the chopping block next. Can't wait to see what he's going to do to him. And
Jesus.
But it was talking not in my ears. It was talking up here. There was a voice and thoughts in my head that were not my own, just flowing in from somewhere. And I was panicking. And I remember as a child caring about my brother a lot. So I told it to stay with me and leave him alone. And it thought this was very amusing, said it would do so. And then said, let me give you a little preview of the future. And the wood grain just snapped. And it was almost like a TV screen, but like 2D and made of wood lines, just flashing little things in that theoretically would be in the future. Also an awful, nasty stuff, right? A lot of bad things. And then pops back to the demon and it's just like, bye. And immediately the pattern goes away. It never changed to begin with. I could no longer perceive this. And the scary thing was that of the 4 things that I was shown, 3 have come true.
Ooh, I'm sure not all of them are things you want to share. Are any of them something you could?
It's primarily personal things with my family.
Fair enough.
Just
yeah.
Things that would, you know, like how grandma dies, stuff like that.
Well, that's so you were hallucinating regularly as a child all the time.
Not all. As I got older, much lesser. As a very young child, yes, at the very least. As an adult,
I think Taylor phrased that incorrectly. When did the visions begin?
As long as I can remember.
You're right, Kyle. I'm sorry. This is the Halloween season. We need to buy in.
Literally, as long as I can remember. You want a killer doll story?
When did you realize you were a seer?
When I was 7 years old, I had to go to various like psychiatrists and analysts or whatever to let them do whatever they were going to do. They put me on a lot of different medications that children should not take, and it didn't help the problem at all. I had a terrible home environment, so it's probably some manifestation of that. That kind of instability is really bad for little kids. A lot of scary movies, stuff like that.
You ever seen any aliens or anything?
No, I've seen shadow people. I've seen lights.
Fucking shadow person, man.
It's it's like a fucking like a shadow on your wall of a person, but there's no fucking person there.
Well, I hate that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Yeah, I don't care for that either.
Is your home life extraordinarily bad or like normal bad? Like parents got divorced, like half of kids go through.
Extraordinary.
Okay.
Fuck.
So
enough to make you see demons and
I was having a good day up until like 20 minutes ago.
We can make this one.
So the way to think about it, you talked about DMT, and that's what gave me the idea. I legitimately think that my brain dropped a tiny bit of the DMT stores that it has because it felt like I was perceiving a pattern that previously I could not perceive and hearing things that I previously could not. I had issues with dolls that would move on their own in the same house. I fucking hated that. It used to creep me out because I always felt like they were staring at me.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but I'm fascinated.
Okay.
When you say move on their own, like it wiggle a little, or it would just be here and now it's like in another room?
Yeah, like being in
second one.
Leave it.
But to an extreme degree. So we were rich. We had a giant toy room bigger than this office. They had a whole fucking wall of stuffed animals. And they all had these little glass eyes that I thought were staring at me all the time because fucked up little kid.
Mhm.
Didn't like it. It was very annoying. So what I decided to do one day is go in there and turn all 100 of them around to face the wall. So just like teddy bear butts facing the rest of the room. And my little play areas, I had a little game station right beside the door to the playroom. So just sit in the door would be like right here.
Mhm.
So I did that and I was like, great, I'm going to go play Road Rash on N64. And I do that for a little bit. I was like, I want something from the toy room. So it might have been an hour and a half later. Nobody is going in there. Parents are like gone. It's just me. If somebody did go in, it would have had to been like right beside me. Right. I go in there and all 100 of these fucking dolls have turned around. And they're not just facing outward on the shelf like where they were, but the ones on the further ends are like angled in. So they're all looking at the door the very moment I opened it.
Ooh. Did you turn them back around?
Yeah, I just closed the door and left. Just fucking out. Bye. See ya.
Did they ever move again after that?
I've never seen or heard anything. I wish.
No, you don't. You don't wish. This sounds fun.
Horrid. Why would you want this?
Well, I don't want what he's got. I mean, clearly he has a thing going on. You know,
a touch of the crazies.
I just want to see a door wiggle one time or something like.
I want it to turn into like the Pillsbury Doughboy or someone good. Kyle, you're muted.
Seen Lights. I've seen Hat Man, the old woman. I've heard of plenty of number of like mostly weird sounds. You hear things dragging around in the wall or little voices and whispers and stuff. But so it wasn't just me. It was the whole family. We all had to deal with this shit for like 7 years. It was terrible.
So they were seeing stuff as well with dolls and
yes. My mother especially, she's got a whole host of colorful mental problems. So her reporting is less than reliable. My brother has a few creepy stories. He was very young. And the interesting one is that the old man, my stepfather, is like this Vietnam War veteran. He's not into this spooky ghost shit. My mom complains about ghosts all the time. He's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what real horror is.
Finally, and then fucking last, a normal person. And Jesus Christ, I'm all here alone listening to the last 40 minutes of make-believe bullshit. None of this happened. None of this
it got him
true.
too.
None of this is anything. It didn't get him.
There was a night we heard footsteps sprinting through the house and noises. He bolted up out of the bedroom shotgun. Who's in the house? And we're all like, we've been telling you it's a fucking ghost. And he's like, bullshit. And he just starts going around to see if there's anybody like breaking in the house or sneaking around outside and stuff like that. So it got him a time or two too.
The demon got him.
You just don't believe, Woody. You're just a skeptic.
Well, here's the reality. It's what happened from my perspective, which is only as reliable as you believe in me.
And so
I think you have a mental illness, but I wish you the best.
I believe in your ghost stories this much.
Well, see, Woody, but we talked about this with like the schizophrenia thing. When we talked about schizophrenia a couple weeks ago, like in their eyes, everything they're saying is 100% real. And like they're not trying to like pull the wool over your eyes. They're like, no, I saw a shadow person. And so like to them, it's real. And so it's like just as horrifying as if it is real, you know?
Sure.
And you can't unremember it. So as an adult, this continues about 3 or 4 times a year. I will briefly see or hear a thing that's not there, not a spooky ghost. I mean, I'll just be like laying in bed by myself and it's dead silent. And I'll hear, welcome to Wendy's. What would you like to order? And I'm like, the fuck?
Just random
number 6 with a Coke Zero.
Yeah, just
coming right
tiny,
up.
Like maybe like one shadow person scooting by and then going to do his own thing super quick. But the difference between that and schizophrenia is a schizophrenic almost certainly believes that. Schizophrenics are confused that all of you don't see the same thing. They don't. It's like the object permanence, or that one person can have knowledge that the other one doesn't. There's like an incongruency. So those hallucinations are reality, but in my case, I know that they're not real.
Damn. That. As a kid, you probably thought they were real, though, right?
Oh, very real.
Yeah.
Very, very much so.
That's horrible. I've never seen a demon or a ghost, anything like that. but I guess it's only a matter of time, Woody, until one crosses my path.
I had night terrors for a decade.
Oh no.
Yeah, my listeners have heard it before, but in fast forward, my house got robbed. I confronted the burglar. Later, the police called him. I think I read about someone like that in the paper. But even though in the moment, it was the man I would aspire to be, afterwards I was terrified. I couldn't sleep without a knife underneath me. The burglar had been in our home, like, I don't know how many times, 8 times, 12 times, like a bunch. And what are you guys laughing at?
Oh no,
I'm not laughing.
Drifter was saying this went off the rails. I'm like, it's all good. You're good.
No, I'm not laughing at your trauma. It's not. Let's laugh.
So to roll it along,
I didn't laugh at
I
all.
had this recurring dream where I'm sleeping. There's a figure in the doorway, and I need to either fight him off or defend myself, but I'm sort of sleep paralyzed. And then I would wake up in a sweat and, not be paralyzed anymore. And that happened to me for like a decade. It was a long time. It was like a PTSD level trauma that
Every night?
No, it was really frequent and in the first couple of years and infrequent towards the end of the 10.
You weren't seeing like someone sitting at the foot of your bed or anything like that when you were in like the terror state, right?
In the dream, I would see someone in the doorway, blocking. It was the only entrance into the room, and he was coming for us. And then I would, I was just trying to get up and handle it, but I couldn't move because I'm asleep. And you're in that state where like what's happening in real world is kind of playing out in the dream too, and I'm just barely able to move. In the dream, I'm paralyzed with fear until I wake up.
Then what happens when you wake up?
My wife would console me, say it was just a dream. Like that's what happened. I realized I had a bad dream.
And this probably doesn't happen like at all anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds a little bit like sleep paralysis in a sense.
Yeah.
That always
also
sounded
terrifying.
so horrifying. I'm so glad I've never had a night terror or sleep paralysis. And like the friends I've had over the years who have it and talk about it, so many of them have the same exact thing. Like it's not like we're sitting around in a circle talking about it. It's many people over the years I'm talking to, and they all say they see a figure, whether it's a demon or a ghoul or a ghost or a goblin, all sitting, sitting on the bed, looking at them. Like they're all sitting on the bed with them. And it just is weird to me that like all these different people, different walks of life, they all say, no, same thing. A demon sitting on the bed with me, looking at me right next to my feet.
Yeah. In my case, it's dark. I can't see what's up. Picture him a little bit dressed like the guy from Scream, like some sort of cloak or whatever. And I don't know. I got to deal with shit and I can't because I've got sleep paralysis.
Have you ever had that, Kyle?
No, I've never had sleep paralysis or anything really like that. I've had some really scary nightmares. But I also have this weird thing, and I've done it since I was a kid, where like if I'm in too scary of a nightmare, I'll like jump off of something high, like straight onto my head, like try to kill myself in the dream, and I'll like wake up right away.
I'll have dreams where like I'm falling from a mountain or something, like I'm just falling, except then like the fall decelerates and then I'm just walking, like the fall just ends, and it's like that like stomach like roller coaster feeling, but it's not even unpleasant because like even though like because I'm never falling. I'm like failing at flying. It's never like straight down. It's like going down like that until it's just like, ooh, just start walking like the Harry Potter people when they're like all going through that warp and then they're just fine walking.
Then you're just like almost flying.
Yeah. But I always know I'm dreaming when that happens. So it doesn't really get too spooky. Man, I don't have any good nightmares to share.
If y'all are falling, do you wake up before you hit the ground?
No, I hit the ground and like have a sensation of breaking my neck, and then I wake up.
Hey, we're in the same boat.
Oh no, I'm the
Fucking
opposite.
suck.
I wake up just before I hit the ground.
Probably the better way to do it.
Yeah, I didn't know there was another choice. I choose mine.
If I don't jump from high enough, then I just hurt my neck, and now the bad guys are closer.
What? I've never tried to commit suicide in a dream ever.
Yeah, I learned that there's like this like there's a minimum height to accomplish suicide in a dream. And I tried to like jump off a chair once in a dream. Like, no, that's not high enough. You gotta get like 5 feet off the ground, 6 feet off the ground, something like that.
So I think I'm very different than all of you. I have extremely wild, vivid, and mostly lucid dreams. But there's also usually another me in my dreams that's aware of the world outside me. So it usually sets up traps and various things for me for when I wake up, and it's very hard to deal with.
Okay, so I sometimes have lucid dreams. I don't understand what you're talking about with the second you, but so I'm very interested.
So if you can look this up, you can look up, I'll type it in the chat, Jungian shadow. Probably my more evil myself, like think Nega Scott. But for a good example is I had a dream with my wife when she was then my girlfriend. We just took a nap in her dorm. And I woke up in her dorm and things were normal, but she was some sort of evil witch and she tried to choke me and stab me. So I punched her in the face. And then she put a bag over my head and suffocated me. And then pow, I wake up again, a different place. And every time I wake up, there's a different person, usually my girlfriend, telling me, I'm going to keep you asleep forever. You're never going to wake up and you're always going to be stuck here with me forever and ever and ever and ever. You know, all sorts of spooky stuff, head spinning around, eyes turning black.
What's wrong with you,
just
man?
over and over and over. But so here's the trick. The thing that's doing that in my dreams is aware of the situation around me. So I'm dreaming the real world. And 8 times in a row, I wake up in a nightmare scenario of the room that I went to bed in. So finally, it's like, have fun. And then, pow, I jump out of bed like a lightning bolt, scare the shit out of my girlfriend. And the first thing she says is, hey, it was just a dream. Just come back to bed. You know, she's like putting her hands on me like, come on, let's come back down. And of course, I think it's going to be another one of those loops where some sort of horrible monster tries to put me down. Awesome. Or there was an instance in my dorm room. I used to have like a big full body mirror or whatever. It would kind of face the bed. And it was the same kind of thing of mirrors over and over again. And the evil version of me saying, I'll be waiting for you when you wake up. I'm real now, by the way. Have fun. Pow, wake up, jump out of bed face to face with the mirror. And the idea is that it's trying to trick me into acting out in the real world. But thankfully, I'm smarter than whatever that is.
That sounds horrible, man.
So I'm going to recommend that you go talk to a professional about all that stuff you just shared with us just now.
Yeah, like a dream doctor who can shut that down.
No, like a real doctor with like a degree and stuff.
I've been putting
I've done that.
An absolute quack.
That sounded scary as fuck. Wait,
I have an entire series on my channel about it.
I'm sorry, I'm a little high, but are you describing some sort of a dream demon that you communicate with?
I used to think it was a demon.
Now you know.
Like, I mean, imagine this. Imagine you wake up in an office room, right? And you're strapped down to a chair and you can't move. And then an evil version of yourself looking identical comes and sits down and slaps a giant book on the table and says, you're stuck with me for the next 12 hours. I'm going to read you a list of all of your sins. Oh, and by the way, you can't breathe the whole time you're here. Pow. 12 hours of suffocating while you hear about every single bad thing you've done in your life, like stuff like that. Now, I did go to therapy for all this, and it's all done with. All I had to do was kill that thing and consume it, and I haven't seen it in a very long time. So,
how did you do that? Did it work on the first try?
It was at the end of an I had an extraordinary dream spanning a couple of years, probably. I turned it into a series for my channel, and resolved personal conflicts. And then about a week later, I went and I woke up in the conference room again with evil me. And the implication was that it was time to finish this. So all I did is kill my doppelganger, so to speak, tear it to bits, eat all the flesh, and become one. And then you're normal again.
You know, that's literally like you're describing like a Freddy Krueger movie.
It's like a Twilight Zone thing. So how did you get him to pieces? Did you tear him to pieces? Did you have tools?
With his hands.
And as you're doing it, you know you're dreaming. Are you
correct? And
you're not tasting anything.
Oh, I tasted a plenty.
Oh, that's gross. what part of you was what part of you was the grossest?
What part of you was the tastiest?
It all tasted mostly like blood, like uncooked meat.
You didn't cook yourself?
No. It's all nasty stuff. But
save your dream self some worry.
Yeah, so those are my dreams all the time. It's basically, imagine you would go to sleep and wake up in a world that's created by your alternate self. Now, in that, you're free to move and do kind of whatever you want, but you don't control it. So you wake up in various sort of nightmare scenarios over and over and over again. But if you try to wake up and break free, the other you will try to put you back to sleep through more effort. Now, I did learn a trick where I could always wake up. If I can get my heart rate up high enough, it'll wake you up automatically as like a safety system in your body. So when I know that I'm dreaming and I know that I'm stuck in a dream and it wants to keep me there, all I have to do is focus for a minute and raise my heart rate high enough to where I start like sweating and it'll just like pop me right out of bed.
This sounds like a horrible way to have to sleep. I'm glad
I haven't had so much problems in the last couple of years, so
that's good.
Well,
Did the lady, like when you went, or the I'm assuming it's a lady doctor, maybe you said she, but like when you went there to her, I'm picturing like you walked through like a bead curtain to sit down in her or something like that. And when you explained your situation, she's like, "Oh, this is something we experience all the time here."
Did
And
she have one like milky eye?
no. She was very very young.
The milky eye. We all pictured the milky eye, right?
So I did this in college. She was a very young, like less than 30, relatively petite new psychiatrist working students for free. And she had no idea what to make of me, looking at stuff like dissociative identity and schizophrenia or whatever. And after about 3 sessions of explaining this, she arrived at the conclusion that I typed in the chat over there, which is Jungian shadow, based on Carl Gustav Jung's various philosophies about the anima and animus, which kind of competes with Freud's id and ego as a system.
Well, it worked, so something went right.
Well, probably.
So is this supposed to take care of it forever? Or is it something where it's like, well, when it comes back, I have the arsenal, I'll handle it real quick?
I think it's more of the second. This type of issue would come up with a conflict within yourself, typically. So that's how it comes out. But it always comes out in crazy dreams. So like I'll dream for, I said like years. I've had a dream where I was in a dream for like 100 years. I woke up the next morning, I didn't know what the fuck reality was. And you're laughing? Okay.
It's like that Rick and Morty game.
This is 10 years before I tried a single drug. I never drank, never smoked, didn't do anything. Like none of that stuff. Totally sober, at least chemically normal, right? Happened all the time. Always have crazy dreams.
Yeah, I've never had anything that horrible. When I was little, I had a recurring nightmare that I was late for school, and like you know how you're leaving you leave the kitchen through the garage, and like you hit the thing, and it starts closing the garage door, and you have to run and like jump over the little sensor and get outside. It was a very short dream. I would run, I would trip, and then my head would be crushed by the garage door closing.
So bad.
Which could never happen, as we all know.
No, it would have stood. The garage door would have broken.
I
and like
think of the head.
even like, and I never really thought about this. Like in the dream, I remember like the reason I tripped is because I was like, I have to jump over the sensor, but then like the thought of the sensor disappeared when I fell down, and then like it comes down way faster. Crushed my head. I haven't had that since I was a child. Yeah, but yours.
So did you feel it though?
Worse.
Like in your dreams, do you feel things? Like when you get cut or burnt or hit or something, do you like feel it?
Sometimes I do.
don't.
Sometimes I don't.
I never feel it.
I usually will. Sometimes I'll do that thing where I like try to pinch myself on the leg or the arm to try to determine whether I am in a dream, and I'm like, well, I hurt a little. Like how much is it supposed to hurt? You know, like I've literally had that thought so many times where it's like, well, that hurts a little. I mean, how often do you pinch yourself in real life, though? Right?
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
If I start like slow walking, that's when I'll know I'm in the dream. You know, like if you're trying to get somewhere quickly and it's taking an eon to walk, and every step feels like you're exhausted. That's when I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming.
Gun stuff is really interesting, right? If I need to like shoot some kind of a monster or something with a gun, I can't pull the trigger. Like it takes so much effort to pull the trigger. And forget about like finding enough bullets to actually load a gun. Like I'll have a pile of mismatched bullets and like 8 guns. And like by the time I do this sort of like okay, I got 1 of these and 3 of those and 2 of these and 4 of these, I have 1 bullet and 1 gun, and the bullet won't go in the gun. Like it's just a nightmare. And then I wake up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your hands don't work right. Your body doesn't work right. The slow punch is something everyone's experienced. I feel like it
just doesn't happen.
Where you're just getting the shit kicked out of you because you're just too slow. To
almost
connect.
Always have like the slow-mo fighting technique and the guns that don't work. And sometimes the trigger will be so hard to pull that I'll get my second index finger in the trigger guard and I'm literally going, ah! I'm doing like
you ever wake up like that?
You know those hand exercises? Like I'm doing basically like, so it's, you know, like 250 pounds or something to like pull this trigger, and I can't fucking pull it to like shoot the monster or whatever the fuck it is. And that's got to be like some sort of mental thing, right? That's got to be some sort of like not being prepared for
like an inability to react to a threat. Like that's something everybody's fearful of. So
sure,
makes sense.
Sure.
Did you ever like have fun dreams? Or are they all horrible? Oh, that's good.
I would say it's about 99 to 1 horrible to fun, but I have fun dreams. I have normal ones, late for class, school stuff, but my average dream is waking up in some sort of scenario that you'd probably see in a movie.
That would make me like so stressed to even try and fall asleep if I was dealing with that all the time.
When I was in college, I basically didn't sleep.
Since have you told these things to your medical doctor? The one because it does seem coincidental that you have both.
Derek knows. The other guys
medical
know.
Condition that no one can put a finger on, and you've also got like what sounds like one of the Freddy Krueger movies going on as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's not an external thing to my head, but it's problematic to deal with on vacation.
Pretty sure is the phrase I would use. Yeah.
But no, I've told my medical doctors it's something, well, as it is needed. In the case of working with Derek and his team, they know. I kind of gave them a rundown on some of that stuff. So yeah, it's not something I keep secret. I literally did a whole series about this on my channel, like 20, 25 videos. I have more coming this Halloween because they're scary stories and stuff. But it's a weird experience to basically wake up in a movie indefinitely, years.
You're an
months,
interesting
weeks,
study
whatever.
for hallucinogens, though, right?
I've never done a hallucinogen, so I don't know.
Ooh.
And marijuana doesn't really affect this one way or the
that
other.
doesn't count. That's like the mildest of hallucinogens. Like I don't know, like colors might look a little brighter to you. It's about as intense as marijuana gets. But like LSD or DMT or mushrooms or something would be interesting. Maybe I don't know, especially DMT, the way that's described. I want to do DMT. It
a little bit scared, given the information I've just given you. The odds of me going on a not so great trip are a little bit higher than I thought.
Yeah, you're gonna go to a scary place, but it'd be cool.
But it's 15
a cool, scary place. Yeah.
You can do anything for 15 minutes.
Yeah, but it's time dilation, and he's already seemed to experience some. He says he's experienced some ridiculous form of time dilation in his dreams.
Yeah.
So like he could take DMT and never come back.
He's just permanently there.
When he comes back, he doesn't know English anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't want to do that.
I understand time dilation, but somehow I'm like, but it's bullshit. It's 15 minutes.
But it's perceived.
You will get to the other side.
Yeah, it's perception. It's not literal.
But you guys have never experienced anything like that? I just hit you with some crazy shit here in the middle of the show?
No, that sounds real scary what you've got going on. I wish you the best with it, though.
Okay. Oh, no, it's sorted. I've got that
literally sounds like
sorted
demons.
out. I used to think it was when I was in high school or in college. I used to think it was a demon that I'd have to deal with every day.
I think 5% it is. 5%.
5% chance. Like 1 out of 20, baby.
People are too quick to rule out demons. Woody's always like, no way, it's demons because those aren't real. And I'm just like, yeah, probably. You got to leave a little bit of a chance in there that it's demons. There's
no evidence that there are demons.
I mean, there's no evidence that there are demons, and there's no evidence that there aren't demons.
Well, that
doesn't make those equal.
Yeah. There's no evidence that goldfish don't fly when you're not looking.
But aside from demons, you've never
seen
had
those
a dream
flying fish,
near
though.
a
You've
reality.
seen those, right? The ones that like come out, and those can go for a couple hundred meters with the wind.
They're not goldfish, though.
Quickly, I don't know. I know you probably don't watch the show every week, but Drifter, real good guy. I like him. I hope he'll come back on and be our guest more. But sounded like he had some real mental health issues that had me very concerned. And I was amazed at the end of that show that we hadn't discussed it more by the end. It felt awkward that we hadn't discussed the fact that he was coming off. I don't want to make light of it. Like he came off like he might have some issues, right? Am I wrong here?
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
We're all a little crazy.
With the hallucinations and everything, definitely.
I mean, we're all a little crazy, but all right. So let me help you out with this, Filthy, so that you'll get on my side because Woody's being like, we're all a little crazy. Yeah. He sees a dark man sometimes in his home. The dark man will look at him around corners and stuff. He sees him a lot.
In dreams?
No, during his waking hours.
It's not real, so it's a dream.
It's called schizophrenia.
He's experiencing delusions.
He told you guys that he sees a shadowy figure that is in his reality, and this isn't like he's thinking about like there's a person there or something. This is just he literally sees a figure in his house, and he told you guys about this?
He has a hard time grasping what's real and what isn't real.
Or he said he did as a child.
Okay, I don't want to misquote, but my understanding was that if he saw the Dark Man tonight, he wouldn't be blown away.
Yeah, like some shadow people or some scary, and like he knows it's not real.
And look, we're shooting.
I bet he makes really interesting content.
We're shooting.
This could be a pro in his.
But he doesn't make that kind of content. He doesn't make like silly content. He makes like funny little serious gaming content or whatever. Like he doesn't go, yeah, so I saw the Dark Man today.
If you are seeing people regularly, like actual hallucinations, you should definitely go fucking talk to someone. That's sure. That seems to go without saying. I don't even know why you are asking me that in like a sentence like that. That's
because Woody was like, hey, we're all a little crazy. And I was like, I don't know. I'm worried for Drifter.
Sounds like Kyle doesn't see dark people. That makes him the weirdo. Am I right?
You don't see the shadow realm?
Dude, let me just say this. I know we're like, it's time to end the show. But like, I looked out my window the other night and I remember there's nothing out there. But if there'd been something out there, I remember thinking, like, what if something was out there? It would have.
What if you looked out your window and there was someone in your fucking house because you see people in your house and you're just like, it's normal. He doesn't do anything. He's just there.
If I saw a fucking dark person out here right now, and just so everyone listening is clear, I'm not talking about an African American. We're talking about shadowy figures, shadowy hallucinations. If I saw a dark person, I could never sleep alone or live alone again for the rest of my fucking life.
He just looks at me around corners. My skin was crawling as you were describing that.
Yeah, but yeah. I enjoyed you. I always do, Filthy. I wish we had spoken about that new game, that Humankind game or whatever it's called. What's it called?
Yeah, me too. Humankind. I did play some Humankind a couple months ago. I'm playing Darkest Dungeon 2 right now. I'm looking forward to the Magic set. That's what I'm probably working with next. I'm not sure. Are you talking Age of Empires 4, perhaps? I'm not sure what you're going.
No, I was talking. You got it right the first time. The one that was a bit like Civ 5. But yeah, I'll come check out your stream sometime soon. I always do right after you're on. See what you got going on.
Sounds good. It's good talking to y'all. Hope you're doing well. And hopefully none of you are seeing dark figures. So
oh my God, I'm so scared now.
You're going to be spooked tonight. It's going to be ghouls and goblins.
I'm all alone. I'm miles from people. It's black.
Yeah, I mean, if you see them around the lake, that's kind of normal because it's dark out by that lake.
There was something moving around in the bushes when I went outside to smoke earlier.
Like, every movement is unexplained and dangerous when you're alone.
I'm going to text you scary things.
It had to be a deer or a coyote, like right.
It could have been a person. It didn't have to be one of those.
It's true. They don't even have big knives here. Like the knives in this house suck. I looked.
You don't have a big knife. That doesn't mean they don't have big knives.
Very, very good point.
Well, luckily, all the doors have big panes of glass, as do the windows.
I was thinking about that today. My wife will fuss at me if I don't do like the deadbolt on the door. These are glass doors. If you do any of the locks, you've done more than enough.
Because none of it's stopping shit.
It's the illusion of security. It's security theater.
Yeah. Or low-hanging fruit, right? You stop the guy who like pulls on the door, see if it's open. You don't stop the guy who's kicking in your door.
And for that, either lock gets it done. Don't tell me I need to do the regular lock and the deadbolt or we're unsecured around here. No. We're unsecured. You just don't know it.
That's right. That's right.
So, Filthy, where can everybody find you?
Those look secure.
Twitch.tv/Filthy Robot.
How's the shadow people? Have you been? How are they?
The true question.
Very little. I think I saw one shadow person very briefly a couple of months ago. So my office, the door is kind of right over here, just off camera. And I was just sitting here doing my thing, and I saw a humanoid kind of shadow walk by. I looked at it and I looked down at the dog, and the dog didn't look. And I was like, well, that's probably not real. And I kind of went back to my editing.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not. It's not.
Let's hope that dog hasn't gotten used to the intruder living in your home.
No, I've always had to rely on pets for a little gauge of reality. If you hear a weird noise or see a weird thing, is the dog interested in it? If the dog's not interested, it's probably all up here.
You've got a whole canary in the coal mine thing going on for your hallucinations.
Yeah, pretty much. Those are extremely infrequent as an adult. As a kid and a teenager, not so much. As an adult, very managed.
Yeah, mine are very infrequent. I had none, and then we're hoping that it stays that way, but you never know.
Dude, this is just the other night. Like I had just watched. I watch a lot of like campy, shitty horror movies late at night. I enjoy them. I like them. but like you still like if there's a ghoulish face or something, it might stick out to you. And like I don't really get spooked too much. It just holds my attention. And I was going to bed and like I was looking at, those like side, like taller windows that are to the side of your door that you can like kind of see through. I was walking down my hall and I looked and I saw like an angle off of it that looked like the same ghoulish face of that got like monster from the movie. And I was like, I like didn't respond, but I felt my heart rate go like pop, 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 pop. And then I like looked a little closer and it was like, oh, that's the light playing tricks. And then I went to bed. I can't imagine spending the rest of the night with what you did where you're like, it's probably not a demon. Probably it's almost certainly not a demon. Like,
so this I think this is a thing that men do and women don't do when they see something scary at night, because I've always do the same thing and I don't know why. When I see something that I don't know what it is in like the dark, I freeze and I stare.
I don't want to let whatever it is know that I'm afraid.
Yes, but what it really is I'm computing in my mind. I'm like my mind is like taking that smudgy figure I see and like, like fucking moving it around,
CSI,
and transposing it, trying to figure out like coat rack. Yep, it's a hoodie on a chair. Okay, hoodie on a chair with a demon mask next to it. That's not my mask. Oh no. You gotta figure that out, right? Like real quick. I've noticed when my girlfriend would see something scary, it's always and run. Like I think it's the difference between fight or flight. Not that I'm down to do combat with a demon. I want to run too, but it's just not my first inclination. I'm always just like, how a dog will do that like instinctive like pointer thing where like they all stick their tails out and like I think there's something like that with us too. I think maybe so. I hate
hunting instinct, investigation, evolutionarily just built in. It defaults to most men. Also a desire to know what the fuck is going on. Because if something is actually wrong, it would be best to know what is actually wrong instead of, I'll just go to bed and not think about it.
I saw this really cool thing on YouTube, and they were what they did was they take these blurred images of animals and they show them to people. And at first it's so blurred, it's just a jumble of nonsense. And eventually it's a clear picture of what's being shown. And on frame 3, people can identify the snake because we've our ancestors, the primates that we evolved from, the simians, were so keyed into like evolving the ability to pick out snakes in their environment. They were such a problem. And they said that the eyesight in Asian and African simians was especially acute because those were the ones that did evolve alongside snakes. Whereas the primates from, I can't remember the other region that they pointed out, but like those guys didn't have any snakes. Oh, it was those little fucking cute ass monkeys on like in New Zealand or somewhere like that. They're like, these guys can't see for shit because they don't need to. but like on
is it the like lemurs of Madagascar,
something like that? But they show the viewer like in the video they've got these frames, and it's like, dude, I didn't know that was a bird until like frame 8. On frame 3, I'm like you can see like the coil and like that threatening pose. It's pretty cool.
I wonder if it can't beat a human.
Oh, then they did these brain scans of
fighter pilots, bombers.
Then they did, then they had like
you got me, Superman.
Oh, for 3. Strike. Just too high IQ. Yeah. That's definitely true. Like I would imagine spiders. Did they do a spider part of that test, Kyle?
No,
because snakes and spiders are two things that like you could easily step on accident back when like we were in ancient times, prior to ancient, like we're cavemen with barely any communication.
Monkeys in the trees.
Yeah, monkeys in the trees. They scream about snakes. They scream about birds of prey too, because they're they're smaller, like macaques or whatever. Macaque, is that what those are? Those little tiny African macaque monkeys. But yeah, they can get like scooped up by birds, and so they have like different phrases and sounds, whether they're like "Hey, snake" or like "bird." Like they make different chirps based on that, which is really cool. Tell us about another time the shadow people were.
Oh, good. Okay, that's more
light.
fun.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I saw a glowing
and did they always look
one time,
or did?
Well, I've seen the old hag, not the Hat Man.
Excuse me.
Glowing lights.
Oh, you've never seen that? Yeah. Wait, you just said Hat Man. So like my wife I got into reading about does she abuse Benadryl?
No, none of us do. No Ambien, no Benadryl, none of that kind of stuff. Or a fun one. I used to live on a property that was formerly owned by a cult, and it was really weird. and it was kind of haunted-y. So some of my Spanish in-laws thought it'd be a great idea to have an exorcism. So I got to watch that when I was a little kid, which was bizarre. Short version, we bought a house way out in the middle of nowhere in Texas. It bedded like 18, but mostly in weird bunk beds that were built into the attic. And it was very fish, like greenhouse, very self-sustaining. And the people that lived there all of a sudden moved like overnight and sold it like dirt cheap.
This is a lot to ingest, bro.
Dude, who are you?
Huh? I'm a lot of people and a lot of things.
You were growing up in fucking Waco or something like
Yeah.
It's a lot more remote than Waco, but yeah.
Damn.
The town had 40 people.
Oh, David Koresh was terrified of our compound. We
anyway.
kicked him out for his simpleton views. He wasn't extreme enough for us.
The house was very weird. There was always weird noises, always weird shit going on. You could never sleep because something would go bump in the night. Nothing like super horrifying or shadow people or whatever, but it fucked with everybody in the house. Mostly would come from my brother's room, which was weird because we thought he was getting up in the night. So we would make him sleep downstairs and it would still happen. Or if he slept up there, he said he would never hear anything, but downstairs sounded like a nightmare. And it happened once when one of my in-laws was at the house and she happened to be a devout Spanish Catholic, and it freaked her right properly the fuck out. And she came back with some of her friends. I don't think they were priests. And they started putting oils on the walls and crosses and out with you demons, and then shit in Spanish that I couldn't understand, and consecrating and cursing and blessing. And I'd seen scary movies growing up. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to see this. I've never seen an exorcism or a blessing or a demon warding, whatever it is that they're doing, because I don't speak Spanish. I don't know. And I was very pissed off because I was the only person not allowed to witness the exorcism, because I was the only person in the house that was unbaptized. And they were all afraid that the ghost or whatever would go into me. So I had to go way on the other side of the property while they banished evil spirits or whatever. And the short version is it didn't do a goddamn thing. All the spooky stuff kept happening.
So
yeah, of course, because
Jesus
it's all
Christ.
fake. And
Woody, are you baptized?
Yeah, I believe these people buy
Drifter?
NFTs.
Drifter, you're
Yeah,
not
probably.
baptized. You're not baptized?
Me?
Yeah.
I am now.
I'm the only one. Huh.
I guess I don't think I'm as remotely
You've never
religious as
been
I used to be, so I
baptized?
don't know if that counts, but I did get baptized, yes.
Dude,
I'm
you're
not-
going to hell so hard, man.
You know, I don't know why, but like we used to do that thing.
Dude, I
don't
can't
know.
wait. Me and Woody gonna be fucking high-fiving, riding a tandem bike up in heaven.
Oh, God.
On a cloud somehow. Yeah, I'm not getting any traction.
Can I just?
I'll hit you guys with a less crazy one, more of a funny one. It was when I was like 16, 17 years old. I had moved away from that bad place to a, we'll say, different place in Mississippi. I lived in a very small house. We were not rich people. My dad made like $4,000 a year, and there was a little bit of subsistence hunting kind of stuff going on. And I was big into video games. I'd play.
Hold on. What?
Yeah.
$4,000 a year.
Forget that, Taylor. Could you just say the words that you hunted for your own food?
A little bit. It
Thank
wasn't
you.
anything crazy. You catch fish from the river, you shoot a deer here and there. If a redneck has something they want a trophy and not the meat, I'll take it.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Colorful
My wife
person
would
for
eat
me.
raccoons and stuff and possums and whatever the fuck. They're really chewy and gamey, but we did a lot of
Did
that.
we kill them or find them by the roadside?
You're not supposed to.
I kill them. I just pop them, shoot them with a 22. But the point is, we lived kind of broke as a really small little house. And I lived in a really small little room. We didn't have any heat or air. So whatever it was outside, it just was inside. And I had to deal with it. But I would sit there on my little TV and I'd play video games. And I was big into video games. One night I go to bed, everything's normal. And I hear this giant fucking crash and slam and like glass breaking. And the only thing I can think is that my brand new fan that I got installed, by the way, I'd lived like 3 years with no fan in the summer. I was super happy to have my fan.
That blows.
I thought the fan had fallen down because we used the cheapest repairman possible. And I thought, fuck, I'm going to have to spend all summer with no fan. So I get up and go kind of like around the walls of my room to avoid stepping on glass and turn on the light. And everything is fine. Everything is totally fine and normal. And I'm like, have I lost my mind? And then I look over to my little desk where I would do my homework, and there's a giant pile of old video games. And when I say old, I mean 1980s old, like the Ghostbusters game and Super Mario Duck Hunt, the original boxes in pretty good conditions. And what was weird about this is these were things that I had owned eons ago, right? Desk was clean when I went to bed. These are things that I had not seen in 10 plus years at that point. When you give something to a 3-year-old in 1989, it tends to get torn up. I remember moving and throwing them away. And then suddenly, in the middle of the fucking night, for no reason, there's a whole pile of vintage games just sitting on my desk. There's no explanation, no nothing.
Drifter, I find you to be a charming and talented man. I really enjoy it when you're on. I look forward to it because
there's a but though.
But when you talk about things like this, I think that, well, I hope that everyone's ears are perking up and hearing these things. And look, I have a side of me that thinks that there's a chance that you are haunted by demons. I am not made that a zero-sum thing. Okay, you may be haunted by demons. I want you to do paranormal videos where you film yourself, set up one of those night vision cameras by your bed, dude, and if anything ever happens and you could string this together, I'd be a viewer, because you creep me out by telling me this stuff the same way. What's our friend who came out a while back who does the scary stories? You're
muted, Taylor.
I'm muted. I'm so sorry. Wendigo.
Wendigo, yeah.
Oh yeah, Wendigo.
When you start telling me stuff about your childhood or adolescence, or maybe even the last few years, this stuff about seeing things, it creeps me out the way that Wendigo. I want to get his name right because I do like him. I watch his videos all the time. It's just
I think it's like Wendigo, but Wendigoon.
Yeah. But it's because I think there's a mythical monster called a Wendigo.
Wendigo.
Is it Wendigo? Yeah.
Skinwalker kind of eats people.
Exactly.
Yeah, it pretends to be people, and that's and
that's one of those monsters. That's one of those monsters that like something that takes the form of humans. Those are the ones that if you're whatever you want to call it, open-minded or goofy or silly enough or whatever to believe in crazy stuff, that's one of the ones that can make sense to sneak by. No, you don't understand. Of course, we don't know they exist. They take the form of what we see every day, people.
Looks like a normal guy just walking down the street or maybe minding his own business in the woods. You don't know.
It's like The Thing, which is the greatest horror movie ever.
Or maybe reptilians, taking the form of humans, the whole overlord thing.
The reptilian part,
they live.
It doesn't make sense because the reptilian conspiracy thing, it says they're underground. They're cold-blooded. They'd be way too hot.
So it'd be warm down there.
It'd be warm.
They need that to stay warm. They need that to live.
They'd live on geothermals, and to live above ground, they want to. They've taken positions of power.
No, it's not like basking in the sun hot down there. It's unbelievably hot.
It depends how deep you go, Taylor. Okay, have you been to the mines of Korgoroth? I think
no. I'm making this up as I go along.
Have you seen the steam pools of the deep Gogola?
Yeah, if I hadn't, I wouldn't have made
where the reptile men are numbered in the millions and the reptile women do whatever you want.
Do you think they have tits?
You ever seen one of those You ever seen one of those alligator cloacas, that little slit? It's like humans could learn a few things about vaginas from alligators.
Oh god.
Right?
And dolphins.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And dolphins. Like I saw a Impractical Jokers bit where he's like, you ever wonder what dolphin puss looks like? He has to say that to a pretty woman, and she literally goes, "I think it's just kind of circular." Like she just rolls with it, and it's just like, damn.
Love it,
dude. Every once in a while, they run up against a cool person who's just as down to be silly.
Yeah, but back to the thing. I worry that maybe you're hallucinating, right? Do you think you're hallucinating?
Probably. That's the most logical thing, right?
And I'm not trying to be shitty. I'm not trying to be shitty about this, or like we've talked about this when you weren't here, and I don't want you to think that I'm doing that behind your back or anything like that.
Kyle's fascinated by this whole thing.
Okay, I don't get offended easily, so it's no worries.
Yeah, don't think that I'm behind your back, laughing it up about.
No.
No,
it's ridiculous. I tell these stories
because the situation is just ridiculous, and it's interesting to me, genuinely.
Yeah. Last time you were on, Kyle was like, "Guys, we should have stayed on the paranormal shit the whole 4 hours. I'm fascinated."
I could go on about that forever because so much weird shit happened. But the short version is Woody's gone. I feel like he just didn't want to hear this shit, and he probably
no. He's I think he's doing some home improvement stuff.
He's pooping or getting a snack.
Yeah.
The reality is that a lot of this happened at a very not so great time in my life. My home life was broken. I was moving a lot. I was stressed out a lot. I mean, I was the kind of kid that would have to stay up late at night and keep the shoes by the bed because you might have to bounce like that. And it's very realistic to say that the stress of that does not do good things to the psyche of children.
For sure.
So as I move into adulthood, these things happen far less frequently. They do still happen. So I think, well, did this shit really happen? Which your subreddit tore me a whole new asshole about this, about supposedly lying or whatever.
Oh.
But the practical version is I have to think, well, it only happened experientially in here, most likely, because I don't live my life making decisions based on what I think shadow people or demons or whatever the fuck are going to do. I'm a very logical, scientific person.
That's what I appreciate about what you're saying, because you're not coming here and you're like Dan Aykroyd, for example, a guy that I really am a huge fan of since I was a kid. I think he's a brilliantly funny man from SNL and Ghostbusters and all the writing he's done. But he's a whack job when you hear him speak. And when he talks about aliens or secret societies, and he's got that really quick Chicago accent, and he's explaining it to you, and you're just like, Crystal Skull vodka. And then you start talking about aliens, and you're just like, okay, you're a whack.
Dan Aykroyd is into aliens and
Yeah, his whole family used to be psychic mediums. And stuff.
Dan Aykroyd is incredibly wacky. You know his character in Ghostbusters, how he's like a paranormal psychologist.
Yeah, but I thought that was just him.
Murray's character. No,
well, they were all kind of paranormal.
A lot of the wackadoo writing is him going to Ivan Reitman, who just passed away, and being like, "Oh, we got to have some stuff about the occult in here." Like they wrote that fucking movie, and he has always been wacky like that with the occult, conspiracies, aliens. And he believes stringently in it. He has that Crystal Skull vodka company. And
wait, that's his company?
Yes.
Yeah. He makes a lot of money selling that
has got like so many people know that like you walk through like your grocery store and go through the alcohol aisle, and like so much of it is just the coolness of the designs that gets you, where you're like, okay, well, this one looks like a wine bottle and it's $7.99. This one looks cool as shit. It's got a skull and it's $11.99. I'm gonna always go skull. It's cooler.
That is one of the best gimmicks ever.
I've never had that.
It's not great vodka, but it's not awful vodka, and you get a skull out of it. It's cool. Like you can fill it up with sand of different colors, like do one of those little sand art things. You can do a lot of stuff with it. I saw someone take this glow in the dark sand that you can like, and they filled it up with that, and then the whole skull would just glow under black light. I don't know. They're neat little props to like throw on a desk or something like that too.
I think,
but what I was getting at, I'm sorry, I don't want to get away from the point.
No, go for it.
That's a wacky guy who I think is just a loon. I don't think that of you at all.
I appreciate that. A lot of people do.
But when you casually talk about this stuff, it can lend itself there. But what I see from you is not someone who's trying to convince me that there are paranormal things happening. It's someone who's telling me about what you're talking about, your mental illness essentially, and how like traumatic events have triggered this more at certain points in your life, and how you basically see things that aren't there, and I don't know how you cope with that, because if I thought like right now I've got my monitors in front of me, some lighting and shit, but like across that room there's a door over there. If I ever looked up, and I'm alone at my house right now, if I ever looked up and I saw something look at me through there, it would upset me so much that I don't think I could live alone anymore. I talked about this with someone like yesterday because someone asked me who was coming on, and we had a very similar discussion to what we're having right now. But I told him like I couldn't even live alone anymore, I don't think. And I don't think like getting a full-time like live-in girlfriend would do the trick. I think I'd have to move back in with my father to feel safe again. If there were dark men in my house, like that sounds silly.
Well, no, that's
if there's static man or shadow,
if there's dark shadow people or something like, and something I'm interested in with what Drifter said is,
I'd be so scared
when you described experiencing it as a kid. You talk about like seeing a figure for extended periods of time. When you described it just now as an adult, you were like a fleeting image in the corner. Like, is that how it tends to be now as an adult? It's more of a fleeting, like it could be a shadow, and it's just your childhood reminding you like, oh, that could be that.
Yeah, something like that. As an adult, very fleeting. I don't hallucinate things very infrequently. 3-4 times a year tops if it's busy. Audio is a little more frequent, but it's usually just very, very small things. It's not whispering voices and crazy shit like that. But I think the improvement came to an improvement to my psyche when I left the very toxic environment. But that doesn't change the memories of these things. And as a kid, I was rationally, like you, very scared. I wouldn't stay certain places. I wouldn't do certain things alone. I wouldn't go places. I wouldn't touch things. And they take me to child psychologists, and I would tell them about these things. None of them were impressed. I got a variety of medications, which kids probably shouldn't have.
Agreed.
But at the end of the day, even though I'm very cognizantly aware that there's like a 99% chance that everything I see exists only up here, it doesn't change the reality of the memories for me. Like, so Kyle, or Taylor, you're very reasonable people. If a very unreasonable thing happened, a very spooky shadow person or ghost just peeked around the corner and said, "Fuck you, Kyle," and then just disappeared, and you saw it for real, totally for real, you couldn't unremember it. You couldn't remember it like any other different way.
It would be in your mind forever.
So let me ask you this. I like where you've led me here. The memories that you have of these encounters, let's call them, are they just as grounded? Do they feel just as real as like your 15th birthday party or something like that?
100%. That's why when I first started my YouTube channel, I can see you laughing already. I endeavored to tell these stories, and I told almost all of them in about a 10 or 15 part series, so that as I get older and my memory changes and you recall and you retell and things change, so that at least the best memory I had available at the time existed as a sort of log. But I do remember them as real. Matter of fact, I had something happen when I was 15. It was a bunch of weird noises that made me leave my house. I didn't really like it. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I just fucking left and went to a friend's house. And I had a very awkward conversation telling my friend that, I want to spend the night here because something is following me around the house and making noises. Like, I don't expect you to believe that, but just humor me.
Oh, not only would I believe it, but I would be like, "Mom, he's back. You promised you'd do something." like, "Mom, you said you'd call the police this time. He keeps coming back. You know he's haunted, right? I saw it too. They say if he sleeps at your house, it kills you in 7 days." There's no way.
Don't watch any VHS he brought with him.
You're being drug away by your mom. You're like, "It's Jurassic Park."
That's very interesting. Like, that.
No. God,
so it's weird.
So
scary,
you said that the visual hallucinations as a kid, very intense, as an adult, fleeting, and it's more almost maybe an anomaly in the corner of your eye that triggers an internal memory of a similar shaped thing. Is auditory the same thing where when you were a kid, it was full sentences, full voices, and now it's more of just kind of something curious that you don't think exists?
Well, weirdly, I had no voices as a kid. Nothing really talked so much. Every now and then you would get thoughts that weren't yours. So to speak, more of an idea and less of a words, a voice babbling.
Time out again.
Okay.
So up until now, again, I don't know much, but up until now, it seems like you've described a lot of things that seemed like they were external. You experienced them as external events, but now you described something that you experienced as an internal event, something where you had a feeling or a thought that didn't feel like it was yours, which is maybe a sister mental illness, but I don't think coincides with the same mental illness. I wish next time you come on, we're going to have a doctor here.
Okay. Yeah, you can bring a doctor. I'm sure I'll give them all sorts. I'm keeping doctors busy right now, as a matter of fact.
And I'm glad that you're open to it, and you realize that I'm not trying to like make light of this. That I'm genuinely like interested.
I'm glad, and I'm telling these stories because they're interesting. I think it is interesting content. Or pivoting off of that in a weird way, Delta 8 fixed my back recently. So you may know spine's broken, 2 pieces, not super comfortable. I do a lot of core work to mostly hold myself up with the ab muscles. They're not anything impressive. It's unfixable.
What does that mean?
That means that the surgery you do to get it fixed has a much higher chance of failing than helping. So it's smarter, especially since I'm younger and relatively okay to build muscles instead. But that's not really the point. Bad back, ooh, boo-hoo, me, whatever. Did a bunch of Delta 8 with my wife, very much so like what you were talking about, Taylor. We did a lot of that, and we played video games while some Adult Swim shit was on TV. That was my night. And then we moved on to other adult activities. And as a guy with a store back, I have to be a little bit more careful. We got to pick our positions a little bit, tactically, but I'm high as fuck. I am lit. I'm not thinking about anything of that. I'm just jumping on there like I'm 19 and like bang, 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 bang. It's kind of dangerous given the problem. And midway in, I do it and I feel a pop. And I'm like, oh shit. Because I can feel it in the vertebra that's not so well connected. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like having a fucking anxiety attack. And I'm like, well, it's not hurting. Might hurt like a motherfucker in the morning. This might be my last time for a while. Better go here. and just pass out like that weed hangover, just like dead. Wake up in the morning, and the first thing I remember is like, oh fuck, I had rough sex last night and I popped my back. So I'm like getting out of bed like really cautiously with like all the little support handles, and I'm like, okay, doesn't hurt, like weird, and I like move around. I'm like, wow, that actually feels kind of good back there. Bend over, stand up, do a squat. I'm like, wow, I think that's like way better than yesterday. What the fuck did I do? I think I literally, I fucked it back into place. I was super happy with that. And I say that is marijuana, not marijuana, it's Delta 8 doing its job.
Yeah, that's medical.
See, like, I'm first of all, it's great that you fucked your back into place.
Oh, it's lovely. Best way to do it.
Kyle, you liked Delta 8 for a bit until you were like, this isn't strong
I discovered
enough.
there's something stronger. Well, it was never.
But is THCO, is it the same feeling I'll get from Delta 8 and regular weed? Because that's what I like about Delta 8.
Yeah.
Is it gives me the same relaxation as regular weed. I don't mind that it takes twice as much to get to the same level because it's the same sensation. Like THCO, I don't want to feel like fucking neurotic or like really energized or something.
Yeah, you get like really, really itchy. But it's mostly your eyeballs, so you can't scratch them. So you're fine.
Okay.
Like you're not going to scratch your eyeballs unless you do too much, and then you go like crazy at them. But just don't do too much.
Just do a reasonable amount of THCO.
No, it feels exactly like marijuana. It's just
you need way less of it than Delta 8.
Than like Delta 8, and it's it's all cheap. Like I order it from that website where you could. It's like 50 cents a gram or something like that. It's so goddamn cheap.
What's your standard dose? What do you?
Oh,
what do you take?
I've been using like mostly these vape pens. Like this is actually from my gas station. This is from the website. This is called Cannabeast. CANNIBEAST Cannabeast.com. And I've got the what is this fucking Acapulco Gold.
Acapulco Gold. They even spell cannabis with an I instead of an A.
Yeah, Cannabeast.
So it's like Cannabeast. It's not the same.
Yeah, and but and like the girl at the gas station, she's like, we have Delta 8 and 1.5, and I'm just like, no, I want the THCO.
Why is the girl at your gas station talking to you in this way?
Does the hallucination part of it work? It's supposed to be more psychoactive. Like, does it make you see things?
Fuck no.
That's a shame. I love that shit.
I've done a lot of acid before, and I saw things there. But even then, like you're seeing things alter themselves. You're seeing like clouds like pulsate or breathe. Or like colors sort of expand and shrink and stuff. You're not seeing like a fucking pink midget dance into the room or a leprechauns and never.
Nobody wants that.
I would love that, but that's not what you
leprechaun.
If a pink leprechaun came in and was like, oh, and like had some gold and had to chase him around for half an hour, that'd be the best drug in the world. I don't know what I'd pay for that. If they were like, it's $1,000 a hit, I'd be like, how long does it last?
Okay, so you've definitely done the most drugs
year for that.
Have you ever had synthesia from cannabis or Delta 8 or THCO?
I don't know what that is.
That's where you can your senses get mixed up. You can hear things visually. You can taste sounds and stuff like that.
No,
it's where your brain doesn't interpret input correctly, and so like seeing blue might make you taste something, or like feeling something might make you. Imagine.
I'll tell you what. If I taste blue, if I ever taste blue, then I'm going to reevaluate this whole Delta.
No, it's not that.
thing.
It's not that you're tasting blue. It's that seeing blue triggers something that makes you taste potentially something else. So it could be watermelon.
I refuse to draw a distinction between what I said and what you said. They're both ridiculous things.
Yeah, one was retarded, one was well thought out, but
same thing.
I was just curious. That's something that happens to me when I get really high, and very infrequently that'll happen, and I can like taste a sound or something. It's really weird, but I think it's kind of fun. It's not harmful or scary. It's kind of like Mito.
What was a sound that you tasted, and what was the sound, and what did it taste like?
A creaky door, a little bit less of a flavor, felt like a potato chips, like I was crunching on something in my mouth, because I think it was creaking and my brain was interpreting that as more of a crunch. Certain flavors would translate to like skin, tactile sensations. And
interesting.
The biggest one was that sound would come out a little bit more visually. Like if I hear certain musics and whatever that I started seeing like a lot of multicolor triangles and stuff, but each little beat was a little different.
And wait, I'm curious about the sound thing. So was this at the same time period that you were experiencing that much more mild synesthesia, or was it after that? Like the other kind you were talking about where you might taste a chip.
I mean, it all happens at kind of the same time.
Interesting.
It's not super intense or insane or anything. It's just really neato. It's like a neat sensation that you don't normally get. So it's been fun.
No, I guess most people would never experience that because like, and it sounds like something that like before we understood the science of the brain, people would be like, that's bullshit. You're making stuff up. That's nonsense. But because we know the different areas of the brain associated with different tendencies and feelings and sensations, like it is weird that you could have a sensation on your tongue triggered by your eye.
So
like
I got a good one.
Okay.
I watched a YouTube video about this. I can't recall what it is, but it's when someone has no sense of fear, they can't experience fear, and it's because a certain part of your brain gets damaged. It doesn't really matter.
They're called amygdala.
So there's a handful of people who have this situation, and there's this one woman that was part of the study, and she had never in her life experienced fear because that part of her brain had been destroyed. I don't remember why, maybe a virus or something, or a fever. In any case, like someone would come up to her and say, "Give me all your money," and she'd be like, "How dare you pull that knife on me? I'll beat you up." Like just not afraid at all, just sort of insulted. Rather, there's no fear. She doesn't know how to experience it. She never had, and they were trying to determine where fear comes from in the brain, and obviously because she has this part of her brain destroyed, she can't experience fear. So they were trying to find out if there was a more primordial fear. What is the most base of fears? What is the first fear? And it turns out that it's
probably loneliness.
It's high concentrations of carbon dioxide in the blood from an external source. So that could mean drowning. That could mean exposure to carbon dioxide gas. So what they did is they took this woman who had never experienced fear ever in her life, and they gave her increasingly large amounts of carbon dioxide gas, and the parts of her brain that and the parts of her old brain, the parts in her brain stem that would process fear in a different kind of animal fired. And she was terrified for the first time in her life by this sensation of having high carbon dioxide in her blood, because that old reptile brain is saying we're dying.
So basically,
we're dying.
She got
waterboarded her.
She got to the point.
Waterboarding is another way to trigger that same fear section.
Waterboarding for science.
So she has her whole brain in function, and then they start to inhibit oxygen with the CO2. And so it shuts down the least important parts of the brain first. Parietal, occipital, frontal.
That's not what was happening here.
And then it gets to the hindbrain, which is the reptilian brain, which has no impulse to give you other than I'm hungry, I want to fuck, and I want to sleep.
The area of the brain,
or I'm scared.
No, so the area that's causing the fear is theorized to be part of like the brain stem or the old part of the brain, but it has nothing to do with like other parts of the brain shutting down. Simply the high levels of carbon dioxide caused a fear response like immediately.
Even though her like amygdala obviously like was less responsive because of the lack of
whatever that part of her brain is that causes fear doesn't exist. Like when you look at it on a scan, it's
I think it's the amygdala. Isn't that what
there were like two lobes, like
cortisol for stress and such?
They showed an MRI or a CT scan or whatever, and there was like two dark spots that were symmetrically placed sort of in the frontal part of the brain, and they're like, this is the fear sector. They're black, they should be white. They're gone. Like she can't experience fear. And they did it.
Did this help? Did she experience fear again afterward? Because the brain can rewire and relearn things sometimes.
No, but they did do this experiment to other people who had the same they instance where they couldn't experience fear and they had the same results. They could frighten them with but the core concept of the whole video was what's the scariest thing. And so like they came to the conclusion that like the scariest thing is that it's uncontrollable high levels of carbon dioxide in your blood from an uncontrollable external force.
But that is a chemical change to manufacture a situation in which chemically you are scared. It didn't find out what is the actual scariest thing to be confronted with,
No, it's.
I think that's clowns.
Our brain is afraid of drowning. Our brain is afraid of suffocating at an older part of itself, and if you simulate that, then it just fires regardless of whether you're drowning or not. That's why waterboarding, like Woody mentioned, is so effective. Like we goofed around with that. I certainly wouldn't say I've been waterboarded, but like we strapped me in a chair, turned it upside down, and poured water on a rag into my mouth for maybe 20 seconds or something, and I fucking hated it. It was awful.
I have a question about the tea. Like you came on this like 2 shows ago. You said your tea was low and you were trying Clomid, I think. And then in a more recent show, I forget the update, but where are we now? Did you figure it out?
So we could not find what was causing the low T. We'd done a shit ton of endocrinological testing with pituitary endocrinologist, and we found exactly nothing about anything abnormal about my body, with one exception. And we did the genetic testing as well. And that's that I had a very small tumor on my pituitary gland.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it scanned a year later and the tumor was gone. The doctor told me it was so small, there's a chance maybe it was an imaging error. Perhaps it was a small cyst that popped. And these kind of things do sometimes go into spontaneous remission. It could have been bigger before and was on its way down when we found it.
Cool.
So there's that. So I have, now that the tumor is gone, nothing wrong with me at all, but my testosterone is like double digits. So I still take the clomiphene. I did a ridiculous amount of testing, and clomiphene takes all of my hormones back up to normal. Everything, the estrogen levels, the testosterone levels, all the other, like the prolactin and everything is all perfectly in range for the last 6 months to a year. And I still got problems. So that's what's going on there. So I have almost no T for really almost no reason. And I know that like people, they're like, oh, you lazy beta male, gamer, soy.
Stop for a second. You've said both that your levels are normal and you have almost no T, and I'm confused.
That's if I'm not taking meds.
Oh, okay.
So when I'm on the clomiphene, it's perfectly normal. Everything, we'd get like this huge lab work every time of like a giant list of things, and it was all normal. Now, if I don't take that, it all goes crazy. Mostly the testosterone, but that throws other things out of balance too. But the doctor told me that he's the pituitary endocrinologist, and he said there's no reason this should be happening to me, and that given a lack of anything else and good labs on clomiphene, it's smarter to leave me on that than risk changing anything. So that's where I'm at on that. We're fighting other battles. We're looking at like rheumatologists and autoimmune and nonsense, but we'll get away from that. That's a boring topic.
Before we go to healers and oils and crystals,
some sort of witch.
My question is, why did you stop at normal? If you have
not
low
100%
T,
sure that a witch isn't the source of all this.
You need to switch to high T and throw some Tren in the mix and Androlone and other stuff. You just stop fucking around with normal.
Look,
crazy with your.
See, this is just like in the movies. All right, this is just like in the movies.
Stack.
He has almost exhausted. He has almost exhausted medical science, right? He just listed all of these specialists, all the testing they've done. This is just like in The Exorcist, right? When they run the little girl through all the tests, and you're thinking like, Jesus, it might be the devil. Why is no one said
there's not much left
yet? And by the time they go through the fourth like hospital trip, you as the viewer are like, come on, guys, why is no one considering the devil? I don't believe in the devil, but at this point, it's clearly the devil. And here we are with Drifter. It's been years of like specialists and medical facilities and
the guy
tests.
Literally sees demons.
No one, the man literally sees demons.
Hey, you'll like
have a
this
guy here
then.
who tells us he sees demons and is plagued by inexplicable medical issues. And no one out there is thinking right now, it might be the devil. It might be a witch, a warlock, a wizard of some kind.
You're joking, but I've wondered.
5 to 10% chance.
I've legit wondered because I'm exhausting science here and not getting answers. And I don't believe that I've lost my mind. Actually, if I've lost my mind, that's the best thing ever. It's the easiest thing to fix. But you'll like this one. You talk about the devil. I had to go get an MRI a while back. And I went to 2 facilities and tried 3 different machines. And the machines failed 3 times in a row. I didn't get scanned until my 4th MRI. And all 3 times the nurses apologized and were like, we're sorry. This basically never happens. We don't know what went wrong. And that was only one time that happened, but it was just one scan that 3 MRI machines failed on me in a row. It took like a month to get it done because I was always getting rescheduled.
That sucks.
So who knows? Maybe it's demons. I've always...
So I'm guessing that those MRI technicians are part of the plot. And so what happened was they hadn't been alerted that you were going to be scanned that day. So they don't have the fake scans that they're going to present to you. They, of course, don't want you to see what's really inside of your body, what they've been growing in there for your entire life, that you are the chosen one. And they have this elder god that they're going to try to bring back through you. through
It
your
makes
butt
sense, honestly, given all the problems and weird stuff. I would buy it.
It makes sense.
That's why your T is low. It is absorbing all of your testosterone.
it's
This
it's going to
demon
come out this
child.
super hyper alpha male. It's a whole lifetime of T. It's going to bust out and be like the Giga Chad, like aliens, except a Giga Chad is just going to burst out of my chest.
It'll just be Derek. It'll just look like Derek.
yeah.
It is. What
They really will be Death Star delts. Just explode out.
But it blows up out of you like it's slowly wearing you like a suit, and then you tear like the Hulk's clothes. That would be the cool way.
But he's not naked when he comes out. He's already wearing Under Armour. It's
You're like, what's happening? And it looks like your arms are getting huge, but then the skin starts tearing, and then you see horns, or well, I imagine horns, like demons have horns.
He'd also come out with a phone, just filming it, like live streaming his ascension.
Yeah. Drifter, how are you? You're clearly not well.
We're doing another bedcast. It's not looking good. It's been a wild ride. So I've got good news. I finally found out what's wrong with me. I was actually not crazy. I cannot believe that, shockingly.
That's good.
I have a pretty severe lifelong vitamin B1 deficiency, better known as thiamine. And you need that vitamin to regulate most of your organs, your nervous system, your heart, your brain, muscle growth, bone density, a lot of the not so essential things in your body.
Sure.
And probably had it my whole life. Most of the weird problems I've had, including the hallucinations that you guys find so amusing, were almost certainly driven by vitamin B1.
Yeah. Two things. One, that's definitely amusing. We stand by that. Two, how many times now have you finally gotten to the bottom of this problem? Is this root cause number 4, 7?
I think it would be the third, but I think it's the really real one, because this destroys testosterone and other things, and it causes your nervous system to essentially disintegrate, because the myelin sheaths that protect the nerves do disintegrate. They don't repair. Demyelinization causes people to lose their memory. It causes people to slur words. Balance problems has a tendency to cause heart and upset stomach.
Yeah. You're talking about alcohol.
That's what causes wet brain. Did you know that? Yeah. People who are like chronic alcoholics, like they get wet brain like late in life. Shout out Lady Di from the O&A show. She got wet brain.
Are you supposed to have dry brain?
Yes, because wet brain, it means that you have a severe thiamine deficiency and you lose your mind. Like you no longer are with reality. You're like, you're in fantasy world. And that's apparently caused by a thiamine deficiency. So it seems like, how the fuck did they not catch this? Or did you not happen upon like a pair?
The short version is this is something that really is almost never checked for, at least in the Western world. It's considered eliminated since most of our food is fortified with high thiamine mononitrate. So in theory, if you eat one Pop-Tart a week, you should have enough. I have discovered that I am so lucky to have a genetic disorder that causes my body to not absorb very much. So lucky, in fact, it's a new gene that hasn't been researched yet, so it didn't show on the initial test.
Do you get to name it?
And I think the doctor does. I know this because I reached out to my family.
Like Drifter with a 0.
Yeah.
No, I would keep it with an E. It's easier to spell. But I got my family members to also take vitamin supplements, and a variety of issues that they had, from cold sensitivity to anxiety to issues with psychosis and things like that, went away very quickly. So yes.
You're muted, bud.
So genetic.
How much history of psychosis are we talking here in the family? And are we talking about like an uncle who liked to talk about gremlins in his fighter plane back in Nam? Or are we talking about like pants on your head, got a kitchen knife, and we're heading out?
My grandfather has a body count of about 15 people because he got violent when he got drunk, and he would have breaks from reality.
Body count doesn't mean that anymore.
Well, you're right.
You fucked a lot of guys.
I try not to talk too much trash. My mother would go psychotic when she would drink. I saw her break a plate and try to cut her face off with the edges to let the demons out, or God knows what. So that's been in the family for a long time. I'm not going to talk about my other relatives because I doubt they want to be on this show. But similar issues when mixed with alcohol. And the only reason it didn't get me is because I grew up around alcoholics and swore that off. I'm on the cannabis only train. If I had drank, oh my God, it'd have been terrible.
So for your family, it's like doubling up with the alcohol because they already have a thiamine problem. And then that's no good.
You might
And
want to go straight edge, my friend. I don't know about.
I'm very
wanna,
straight
take
edge.
those Tylenol
Yeah.
twice. Oh man, so your life sounds so scary to me. Like in
It's
my
tough,
normal
man. I'm
life,
sorry.
I don't deal with any sort of ghouls or goblins or anything like that. And it seems like that's a daily concern for you. You're like, fingers crossed, there's no ghouls or goblins today.
I don't particularly worry about those anymore. I used to.
Okay.
Just on a daily basis. I was seeing things. It's weird.
Yeah.
Right now, I just worry about managing the health stuff. The good news is I'm supposed to make a full recovery. The bad news is it's supposed to take a couple of years because it's been going for so long. Every system in my body is dysregulated. That's why the testosterone was so low for no reason, and all these other things, and all the labs are all out of whack. And I got lucky. I got in touch with one of the very few doctors on the planet that even has published research on this, Dr. Chandler Mars. She runs hormonesmatter.com, and she's been helping me. And
her name
she
is
basically
Chandler?
said this Chandler Mars, yes.
So what's this? Oh, I'm sorry.
We're gonna gloss right over the lady's name's Chandler. I mean, that's more interested than any of this. Okay.
The solution, is it just a vitamin?
For the most part, yeah. Take vitamin B1. It's very cheap. It's over the counter. It made me feel better within 12 hours. I felt radically better within a week.
Why are you gonna call it
Unfortunately,
that,
after a month, I kind of plateaued. I talked to this new doctor, and she said average recovery time is a couple of years because your body's kind of in starvation mode. So I got a lot of fun stuff to work through, but the long term's looking pretty good.
That's good. I'm glad it seems like you have a prognosis or whatever to go off of. Does it piss you off at all that, like, after all of this, it's like, it seems like a vitamin deficiency that could have been like handled on Amazon. Like, you have to be kind of like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
So you
all
don't
these
take
tests and you didn't have
a
me like piss in a
multivitamin?
cup?
I did take a multivitamin, but it didn't have thiamine in there. Since it's already in our bread, the majority of multivitamins don't include it because it's considered unnecessary.
Which vitamin?
Oh shit! It was just like some chewable gummies I got from Target.
Yeah, you didn't get. Okay, see, that's the problem. Anybody out there that look, I take multivitamins every day. I think it's one of the like 5 things you should take. Like, if you had to pick 5, it'd be in them. And I take those expensive ass Thorne multivitamins. And I promise you take 4 pills a day or something. You take them in the morning. There's a morning blend and an evening blend.
Well, Kyle's on the rich guy Thorne stack. I'm on the basic nutrition stack.
well, I mean, I'm sure that there's thiamine in it. Like you said, there's thiamine in Pop-Tarts. Like I had does your diet, everybody eats differently. I know some people just never touch like vegetables or fruits ever. Like was that a thing? Like,
no,
I know
I eat very healthy. No caffeine, no alcohol, no tea, not a lot. I do eat sweets, but not a tremendous amount, Try to eat organic, local, healthy vegetables, blah, blah, blah. I'm in Texas. It's not going to be perfect here, but it's pretty damn good.
Well,
I wasn't even looking. I'm just thinking like you've developed this crazy thiamine deficiency where it's seemingly,
but it's been my whole life.
It's like how did you avoid thiamine so much? And the answer is clearly that you didn't, that you've got this genetic disorder that makes you need a lot of thiamine.
I need a lot, and I got lucky. My life was a perfect series of events. Every medication that I've ever taken for a long time, a lot of the procedures that I've had done, all of those have known side effects of draining thiamine. I've taken sertraline. I've been on diuretics when I was a teenager. I used to have to get bi-monthly spinal taps and things like that.
Jesus.
So all of those things drain thiamine. And there's only 2 labs in the entire world that'll give you a transketolase test, which is the most accurate one. So doctors almost never test for it. And I only found this because I went to a psychiatrist because I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm crazy. Put me in a padded room and lock me up. This makes no sense. The psychiatrist said, look, man, you can be as crazy as you want and not get labs like this. You may have a mental problem, but there may be something else. He sent me to a neurologist, and the neurologist is like, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. I just know that it's going to be weird and it's going to be beyond my expertise. I'm going to refer you to like the research hospital, which was UT Southwestern, and it'll take 4 months, but you know what? I'm going to sign you up for like 15 shotgun random tests to do a little work before you get there. One of them, B1, the transketolase. And so I'm just fighting my way through that. It's going to be a fun year-long slog, but
at least you're on the right path.
How often have you thought about? Because I got to tell you, if I had all these problems, especially with the mental stuff going on. You know, something you can't wrap your hands around or cut out. Because like if you got cancer, like if I had like, I don't know if there's an example of a cancer that men can get. Like when women get breast cancer, they can make that nuclear option and be like, you know what? Take them fucking both. Well, ma'am, the right one's still good. No, fuck this shit. Like, and I have a lot of respect when they do that. I don't know if there's a nuclear option for men like that, but that's what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for the bad part of me to cut out at some point. You know, like I don't know if you've ever gotten a thorn in your foot or something, and you're like, I don't care how much this hurts or how gross it is to dig around in my foot. You're coming out. There's something like in us that wants us to get that shit out of us that doesn't belong. And so, like, man, I could see thinking like some of the stuff you've been through.
You are goddamn determined to start us off grim today, but the honest truth, because I try not to lie.
You're in a coffin. I'm not in a coffin. Sorry, Dracula. Am I bringing the mood down?
This is a very expensive bed, anyway.
I bet it is. It comes with that oak lid. You got the inlay and the silver handles on the side.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole
anyway.
Grieving mom.
It's a floating bed that glows. It's a cyber bed. It looks really cool. Anyway, yes, I thought about. I'm not a lot, but the thought of not seriously. I didn't sit here and be like, yeah, I'm going to do it today. None of that. But every now and then, when I was trying to go to sleep and in a lot of pain, I imagined how pain-free it would be to be dead, and imagining being dead helped me go to sleep. So.
I'm really sorry, man. That's horrible.
It's horrible,
but
it is.
You have to deal with this, and I'm genuinely happy for you that it seems like you're optimistic on the path you're on now. Hopefully, it is what solves it. You're doing a good job. So that's rough, man.
What you got, you know?
Yeah,
like, it must feel really good to have your hands around. Like I said, like at least have a really good idea of like what the thing is. Like,
and
it's easily solved too. They're not like, oh, we found it. It's your butthole. We have to remove your butthole.
We have to core out your butthole.
Like we're making
Do I just get an even better butthole? Like you can't remove a hole. You can only make holes bigger.
You could get the colonoscopy bag, the one on your side.
I don't see why you'd have to do that.
Nowadays you can just request like a corpse anus.
Is that true? I believe
I got a real 2 a week. 2 a week.
Yeah.
I want a zombie anus.
I think that'd be disgusting.
I wanted to talk about if it's okay. First of all, glad that you worked out that whole thing. I think about you every now and then. Whenever I have a friend or a loved one who's got a health concern or whatever, I'm like, look, it's not that bad. We'll get this cleared up.
No,
there's this guy named Drift0r on the internet. I know. You know about the Hat Man? They'll be like, no. I'm like, and you never want to know. So fucking stiff upper lip. It's just leukemia, pussy. Like you could be Drift0r, and they'll right away it perks them up. It perks them up. But no, seriously, I'm glad you're not like fucking fighting ghosts or like you were on that Dan Aykroyd path there for a while. I thought it was getting scary.
I was never unaware of that. Like, just so you guys know, I never like believed that was reality. I just couldn't change the way I was perceiving things. I was just getting fucked at like the mitochondrial level.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get that in like I have had dreams where I wake up and I'm like mad at Jackie in real life, knowing that it's irrational and that it's not okay, and that I need to not project that, like, keep it inside until you come to your senses.
Yeah,
but I still feel mad. Like the emotion is the same, even though I know the cause is a lie.
Good luck, you.
Good luck,
young man.
I hope it's at the base of this time. I do have my own concerns. It's the 4th time he solved this problem, but hopefully this is the last time he solves it.
He seems more sure about the solution this time than he did before.
Well,
maybe that's
for
me.
A date. That's good, right? Like I was surprised that when he finally got out of that bed, I was like, "You can get up."
I don't understand
didn't know
this
that was an
condition
option.
where you can only get up during dates. Okay.
Yeah,
that was a stylistic choice.
Dude,
it's like a Scorsese, hand cam.
I think he explained it to us last time. I'm sure why he's like laying in fucking bed, but like we just didn't even ask this time. I don't think any of us really remember exactly. And like now that we know it's a vitamin deficiency, why the fuck's he still laying in bed? And I don't know shit, but I'd figure you could eat some fruit, get a B12 shot or whatever, and you'd be good to go.
B1. But I bet I think you only get B vitamins from
if
meat,
B1
right?
would fix it, imagine what a B12 will do, Taylor. I don't think you know your vitamins.
Taylor, did you go to school?
B1. We've moved on to B12, and you're still talking about B1.
B1, the lamest of B vitamins. Everyone knows it. That's why it got ranked 1. or the lowest.
I've never been baptized, which apparently is a real rare thing. I'm sure Harley hasn't either, but for us Gentiles, it's I don't know anyone else who wasn't baptized. I need to ask my parents what the
I'm
happened.
baptized. Man, they've dropped the ball.
Or maybe they made some sort of deal.
Didn't get baptized until I was like 19, but I still got baptized.
You still knocked it out. You're covered probably.
Yeah, but I went through that whole childhood of Southern Baptist hell and damnation and brimstone. Nope.
Don't you see demons?
That shit sucks.
Yes, sometimes.
You see real demons. So I'm not going to use you as a case study for baptism, and it's been.
I love the frown, the over the frown response you get because of the fucking giant flat lips.
How do the demons
Wait,
make
do you
feel?
see demons? You see demons?
It's a very long story, but the short version is much more prevalent in childhood than in adulthood. I suffered from hallucinations, not the schizophrenic kind where you really, well, I mean, as a kid, I thought they were like real, you know. As an adult, I might see things like a shadow person walk by super quick or something like that. And I know it's not real, and I know it's my mind playing tricks on me, but as a child, they were much more intense. And I saw a whole bunch of crazy ghosts and demons and things that talked to me and all sorts of crazy shit. I think it was a combination of a very unpleasant medical condition I have and a very
you
toxic
spoke about this on the show, right?
Yeah, I did. I told the story and stuff like
me.
that. So I, in the past, have seen things like demons and ghosts and supernatural events, and I also have very, very bizarre dreams where a very unpleasant thing often talks to me and kind of controls the scenario.
Is that still happening now, or pretty few and far between?
It was pretty much dead for a long time. I had a brief resurgence about 3 or 4 months ago. Very unpleasant dream. It was. Are we going to do that? Are we going to go into paranormal? If we're going to do that, I'll take the clown nose off. It's kind of itchy.
Yeah, you can take the clown
I think you take it off anyways.
Now look a little bit
that's
more
so
like
much worse.
Clown.
Now you look like a French Quebec daytime ballet. Anyone where I'm from knows what I'm talking about. By the way,
yeah.
Continue.
The Quebecois people.
But it's like, imagine you've played something like Left 4 Dead, where there's like an AI, the director that directs your game. Imagine when you go to sleep and you have a dream, it's lucid, so you're you and you're awake, and you might even know that you're dreaming, but you're not in control of it, and there is perhaps another malevolent director there putting you through some sort of godforsaken scenario, and if you break out of the scenario, you're probably going to a meeting room where you have to have a very unpleasant meeting of some kind.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not fun. I don't sleep that well.
I don't blame you.
I can't fix it. If I get some of my problems fixed, it may go away on its own, which would be great. I am Tuesday going to see the only specialist in the state that will talk to me, and then I might have, embarrassingly, yet another final answer for this stupid
Peter
problem.
Venkman, right?
No, it's a infectious disease specialist. I may have a protozoan infection, which is not good. You don't want that. It's a little. It's like a little, kind of like a bacteria, but a little nastier, and they live in your red blood cells.
How do you get rid of those?
I'm not entirely sure, and it doesn't seem like it always goes away. So that's why I'm going to a real doctor to get an answer.
And if that,
hope you get good news.
Another option would be to dream train to grow stronger every day. So when you do encounter the shadow man in the dream, you are far more powerful than he ever expected you to be.
I got a trick.
Sell a supplement for that.
We do.
Yes.
It makes you come.
We really
too.
do. Yeah,
I do have a trick for that.
Derek's
For real.
site, there's a dream supplement.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The trick I learned is that if your heart rate gets over a certain amount, you almost always wake up. Like your body just has like a fail-safe mechanism if that happens. So if something's getting really fucked, I stop in the dream and concentrate and try to just hyperventilate, get my heart rate up super high, and just imagine it. And usually I'll just poof right out after.
Oh,
like
I got the answer for you.
Damn.
So do you have a smartwatch?
Been tracking it.
You can set that thing to wake you up if it gets above a certain point. Because I know someone I know went to sleep after doing a bunch of cocaine and Adderall, and their Apple Watch woke them up because they thought they were dying, because they probably were. Their heart rate was like 170 in their sleep or some shit.
In their sleep.
So
dude, that's
bizarrely
like
about this.
That's like panic attack level of blood pressure.
I'm telling you guys about crazy dreams and shit like that, right? According to this, I dream only about 15 minutes a night, which is way less than what you need. And A lot goes on in those 15 minutes, I'll tell you. Either that
Freddy
or it's
Krueger
just
shit.
not reading right.
Oh, there's full on time dilation in our dreams, which is interesting,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Absolutely.
Big time.
That's a bizarre part about dreams that I would love to hear a doctor and a scientist talk about, like how that works. How does time dilation in dreams? Because
And a man of God.
feels
Let's
like
cover
You
all the
wake up
bases.
sometimes exhausted. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know how that shit ended. It went
Yeah.
on. I was like
I've been able
camping
to-
for weeks.
I've left a dream scenario, like it had been a long dream, maybe running from bad guys through the woods or something, and then wake up and be like, all right, I'm awake, and then be, oh shit, I got to get back in there, and went back to sleep and got back in. I've done that before.
That's
how does that
awesome
fucking
when
work?
you do
too.
that.
How does that work?
I
don't
think
know
it
how
works
that
because you want to go back. Your mind is already in the
Or is it
mindset.
because that place is real? Because our minds have made it real.
But doesn't
and
it
exists
feel
for a little-
very real sometimes?
I think that our dreams might be more than just our brains putting on a show for us. Like maybe we're creating some kind of little pocket universe that we're going off and playing around in.
Maybe. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess that kind of is what it is. It's
Don't get your
in
hopes up, though.
mind's
You're not going
eye.
God,
anywhere
it's
when
the
you die.
simulation and you come
No.
out and you're like, it's my dream
This has
world.
nothing to do with that. Still,
I,
just
I like a huge amount of the time when I have a bad dream, like I don't remember anything about it other than like I'll wake up like more anxious than normal and just be like, I must have had some kind of weird
I've
dream.
had that.
Like, but I can't nail down like what was it about? It must have been kind of upsetting, but I have no
Bad, like a night
clue.
terror, like where you jump up yelling and stuff.
No, I've never had that. Like I've never like I
I
don't
keep saying
really,
things and I'm only
I don't
picturing
wake
you in the
up.
clown makeup doing it. Like
Yeah, I don't wake up
sleeping
out of
and jumping
nightmare.
up screaming full clown costume.
You do
Just
know how I
waking
look like
up in
normally,
terror.
right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Not clownish. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a nightmare. Or no, I when I was a kid, I woke myself up with nightmares occasionally. I remember I woke up during a very brief nightmare where I was like, my mom was calling me to like run through the garage to get to her car so she could drive us to school. And I was closing the garage on my way out, and I tripped, and the garage door crushed my head, and I died. And I remember waking up from that like, oh my God, I never thought of that as a way to die. is having your head crushed at the age of 7, and then thinking like, oh my God, and my mom and my brother would still be out in the car looking at like my head all over the drive. Oh, that was a terrible dream for a 7-year-old.
My dream
Yeah,
when I
that's a
was
good
7
one.
is I would be at school and I'd be like, I'm here naked? Why did I come all the way here naked? What a fuck up.
What a fuck up.
Literally,
Damn.
that'd be my dream. I'd be like, I forgot everything, even my clothes. This is crazy. Why would this happen? And it's just my dream is me standing there stressing, being like, how am I going to spin this?
I remember like
7.
probably 4 years ago, which, maybe not even that long, 2 or 3 years ago, I had like the first nightmare in many years where I hadn't done my homework. And like,
Yeah.
I had like not, or no, what it was I realized I was enrolled in a class that I had never gone to, and it was
Yeah.
near
Oh,
the
no.
end of the semester. And like, I wake up from it or whatever, and it's like I'm like actually like worried about something, and then I have
Yeah.
to remind like you're
So-
32, you're not in school, like that
So-
it's fine.
So here's the school nightmare that I have. I haven't had it in a while, but maybe 3 to 5 years or something. But I used to have it all the time, and way into adulthood. I have been enrolled in the wrong classes, or I have taken more units than I thought I had. And I've never attended these classes, though. It's become news to me today that yes, you do have a 3rd and 4th period class. This is not a half day. You've been working a half day for the year, and you were supposed to be learning calculus and biology. And so now, today, there is a Scantron fucking test for both of those classes, and you have to cram right now for the test today. And all of a sudden they start handing out Scantron sheets while I'm looking in this book that's this thick, and it's just so scary.
Just
because
panicky.
I do everything. I'm trying to talk to the teacher. I'm trying to like cheat, and nothing works.
Yeah, the reason I think that scares me is because literally, I think it was my junior year of college. I was in like Finance 3000 or some upper level finance course, and for the second test, there were only 3 tests. So test 2 is halfway through the fucking semester, and I sit down next to this guy, and through some conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm so glad the tests are fucking easy as shit, and because the tests were a joke. Like I got like a
That's
high
good.
A, and like on the first one, I come from the second one, and I'm like, man, this class is so great, easy as can be. I never come to it, and the guy I was talking to was like, yeah, but like attendance is like 15% of your grade. And I was like,
oh
no, that can't be true. I couldn't have
professor?
made that kind of oversight. And so then I just like, I had it in my head. I was like, okay, you cannot get back 8% of this entire grade. Like you just have to go to every class from here on out. And like ended up still doing fine because it was easy as shit. But I remember like that was such a big fuck up because I had never blown off a class where they took attendance. That always seemed like so over the line to me. That's just willing laziness and indignance and ignorance. Like, and that's what I did. I was kicking myself for that. It's like, you fucking retard, you moron. You missed, you missed
Taylor.
every single day other than test 1 and test 2.
It didn't matter then, and it doesn't matter now. You didn't even need the degree.
It didn't matter. Nope. You're right. It didn't matter at all.
Did any of you use your degrees?
No,
none of it matters.
I use it every week on this show.
Yeah, you can get those printed off the internet, and no one checks if they're real.
No.
I saw a Reddit post the other day from a guy.
Out of college, no one cares about your college transcript ever again. They care about your first job.
I saw a Reddit post, and the guy was like, "I've been living a lie for X amount of years." He's working as some kind of professional with a fake degree. He's not a doctor or anything. That's different, but you know, he's working a professional job where they think he went to some school somewhere and there's a diploma on his wall and everything, but that ain't real.
Dude,
he's like,
I once saw a professor who worked for like 10 years as a professor of ethics with a fake degree.
You can get them printed right off.
That's hilarious.
Go right now. There are multiple companies who make very good fake degrees, and they'll go so far as to have your, references and everything. Like they're backed up.
Look at that. And Drifter, I was hoping that we'd get you sitting upright. Is there any good health news?
Yes, I thought about starting this sitting upright. I'm doing more of that these days, but it would just be a facade. It would be 20, 30 minutes, and then we'd have to transition into here. The health news is I'm recovering, ? Said that a number of times on this show for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got treated for babyosis infection, which is a parasitic protozoan that lives in your blood. And I can see you wincing, the incredible, unbelievable audacity of this story.
Wait, what is it called so I can look it up?
The name of it I was like, wait, what?
Babyo, what is it called?
Babyosis.
Yeah,
it's reverse aging. He's
so what I've prepared for you is actual proof that I'm not just bullshitting you all. This is my actual test. I actually got this.
A man who can read the room.
Painfully rare disease.
Negative. All right.
Wow, that's a lot of AIDS in your blood.
Yeah, but the way it cut off the babyosis, whatever, for the fish down there is positive at the bottom. So that's what I got treated for. It was successful. I felt a shit ton better. And let's see if I can go back to my actual regular screen now that I've done that. And a crazy thing is 2 days after starting the medication to treat this, all of my nightmares and bad dreams and shit just full stop. 35 years of insane nightmares and crazy stories and conversations on here about nightmares and shadow people. 3 or 4 days of medication, and I have not had a nightmare since October. So that's a blessing.
All right, that's a couple months.
Help me understand. So you've been on medication for 3 or 4 days?
It only took 3 or 4 days for that change to take effect. The course of medication was just antibiotics for like 2 weeks, and now I'm just doing physical therapy and regular follow-ups. And I know I'm still in the bed and it looks terrible, but things are
no, I was worried it was a really small sample size. Like, I took this medicine and I haven't had a terror all night. Like,
since October.
Are you just a little bit jealous of being able to just lie in the bed like that and go to work? Because like, like a little part of you, like, try it for a day, you'd be like, this is all right.
Yeah,
kind of nice.
Dude, I couldn't do the show laying down. I'd fall asleep.
Time to open my eyes and go to work.
I need something typed. You clap.
I got a text to speech, so I just lay here and talk into the mic, and it types everything for me, and I paste it in. It's real lazy workstation. My wife and most of the guests in the house want to try it out and love it. And we have what you don't see over here past the camera as a TV setup and some other things, so I can very easily just turn it on and share what's on the screen. Like if we wanted to play a game together or whatever. Somebody wanted to peep.
That
in,
would
so
be
that's
so fucking funny to come in that room and be like, let's watch a movie, and I'm watching a TV and you're watching that. And it makes me think, have you ever like been on your phone in a bed and you're holding it above your face and you drop it and it's like bang?
Yeah.
Like I've done that multiple times and it's embarrassing, and that would be cataclysmic if your
I've done
setup
worse
fell.
than that. So I will have my laptop on my chest like this, and then it goes bang. I have done this show with a cut across the brow of my nose from the fucking Apple laptops. Notoriously can slice loaves of bread.
These are so thin.
They're sharp.
Yeah, also the brow of your nose, and just like minimize the scab and try and pull it off.
Woody, did you fall asleep in our call this week when we were
plead the fifth?
All right, so
That's yes. That's yes. Detective Taylor sleuthed that one out right away.
Guilty
That's
people
yes.
don't plead the fifth.
I've watched a lot of programming with Woody. I'll say like in person, side by side, but also
So
you know,
technically, we've slept together.
oh, we've slept together 100%. We've been in the same bed together with Taylor. But what happened? What happens is, and
Just imagining the fan art right now. Hopefully they render your abs just right.
Sure.
Make me the hairy, muscular one.
Don't get my abs right. Make them better.
It was in the middle.
Yeah, at the very least, I want to be a power bottom.
all of us. There was like 8 of us in that bed.
There
But
were. T-Mar was in
but,
there.
yeah, we all watched UFC in a call, and I just remember hearing, and someone went, and someone, bless their heart, went, "Is Woody sleeping?" They whispered so as not to wake you, and I'm like, "Yeah, he's asleep. Yeah, he's asleep."
You could play carnival music. He's not waking
so
up.
I was asleep and I did snore, although they were talking mad shit. And like that woke us up. Once I start hearing my name a lot and stuff, like I'm back in it. And I'm like, Jackie's like, you know, let's just be quiet and listen to what people say about you while you're sleeping. Kyle was kind, but the fans, maximum assholishness. Like,
did you keep
really
faking
brutal
snores?
stuff.
Like,
I'm sorry, say it again?
Did you fake snores to sell it? Because I would imagine that as soon as the snoring stopped, it's like, wait, it's too quiet in here.
He was just overly confident that I was still out.
So you missed some of the best fights. Or unless
No,
it
it was the Colby Covington fight, and sleeping was the
woke up.
proper response to that. I assure you.
It was not a good fight. That was not a good card.
Did either of you win or lose a little bet on it? Is
I
that
owe
one
Woody
you-
$5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you made
Yeah.
a bet on that one.
Yeah.
This babyosis thing, I'm looking it up. This is one of those tick diseases that you get from getting bit by a tick. Did they tell you, or do you know when the tick bite could have happened?
I have no clue. I am so lost. It was so hard to find even a single doctor in the entire state of Texas willing to treat this. And their speculations on how I got it was a blank. Like if you go on the CDC and look it up, between 1 and 3 people in the state of Texas get it every year. So I guess I'm just lucky.
Damn. Were you an outdoorsman at any point? Like
When I
lots
was
of
a
tick
kid,
bites?
Grew up real poor, out in the country in Mississippi, rural agricultural area, some in Kentucky as well. You know, the kind of thing where you catch dinner, catch your fish and eat it, or
well, Kentucky,
even,
that
you know,
checks out based on this.
when I
little
moved in
map.
with Rich Stepdad, it was like, let's get in the go-kart and go out in the woods and fuck with stuff and shoot guns. And
Yeah. And he was the dad who would be like, nightmare, demons. It's like trying to
No. So I have
Always
no idea
remember,
where or
son.
how I got it. I have no clue. I am just as in the dark as all of you. All I can say is that I took the medicine and I feel better. And I think that might have been fucking me for years.
I have a couple of questions. Did they suspect babyosis or
No.
just run all kinds of tests?
I was all kinds of tests. I was 87 different kinds of desperate and confused. And I was sitting here and I would pray every morning, please God, let me be crazy. Let this be a Sixth Sense moment where I'm Bruce Willis and I realize everything is fine and I just need some fucking Xanax. And nothing was working. So I started taking kind of weirder tests at random. There was a company called IgeneX that would test you not just for Lyme, but for every single tick-borne disease on the planet. And it was like, oh, it's $3,500 to test everything. Sign me up. Ship that shit out right now. My internist said, why not? You're having all these joint problems. And lo and behold, it was like a month, maybe 6 weeks later, it came back and it was positive. And I had no idea what to do with that information. And it kind of started a whole series of events. I think I'd actually just gotten that news like 2 days before I showed up here as a clown.
Yeah. That was
but I had to wait to get it confirmed by an actual infectious disease doctor. And we couldn't even replicate that particular test because we tried testing for individual strains and got nothing. So since the medication was relatively low side effect profile, they're like, let's give you the medication and see how you respond. Response was pretty positive.
My second question was the antibiotic. Like,
yeah,
you haven't. What happens, like, say, with syphilis oftentimes is people don't know they have syphilis, but somewhere along the way they get strep throat, take an antibiotic, and syphilis never gets as bad as it did for Al Capone or whatever.
Yeah,
you haven't had an antibiotic in years?
I genuinely don't ever remember taking an antibiotic since I was like 9 years old. I mean, I might have, truly. I just don't remember it. I'd never really got a bacterial infection that I can recall having. Certainly not in the last decade. I mean, maybe if I was did something when I was 13, I might have forgot it. But the antibiotic they made me take was you had to drink it. It was this bright yellow stuff that looked and tasted about like highlighter fluid, and I had to drink it 3 times a day. It was awful.
I feel like psychologically that would help me, right? I'd be like, this elixir will get me well.
The placebo effect. The bigger and weirder the medicine is, the more it impacts your body, the more it impacts your mind, the stronger the placebo effect is. Or the nocebo effect. You can give people big red pills that say poison, and they'll take them, and like half the people get sick or feel weird every time.
Yeah. It's way like psychosomatic responses. Like you can create pains in your body in different places. Like that stuff is powerful. And it's probably good they didn't put you on antibiotics. At least my understanding is like they don't want people to, they did this time, but not before.
I took antibiotics, not antipsychotics or SSRIs. Or
antipsychotics. I was saying, because like I know when I've been sick in the past, they're like, well, this could be the flu, so let's not put you on antibiotics, even though it might be stress because it can mess with your like guts and stuff.
Oh yeah, my gut flora. That's what I really care about.
I'm like, well, I didn't come into this office.
Get out of bed.
Like,
you will care.
There's a difference.
I'll take diarrhea over the flu.
Right, dude. I'll take
antibiotics. You cocksucker.
Dude, apparently it takes a while to build all that shit back up again.
You muscle down one Greek you don't yogurt, and you're good.
You're describing my life 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago or whatever. I shit my whole ass on that stuff, like the lining, everything. It was so gross, but it only took a little bit to build it back up.
The lining
of your
out.
He had a lot of bacteria.
I might as well have been drinking paint thinner. It cleaned me out so bad. But a lot of yogurt, a lot of probiotics. It's all back to normal, so that's good. I can eat spicy food again, so yay.
What's the prognosis on getting out of that bed?
Good. Physical therapy started early in November, and I know I'm in a bed, and this looks it's always ridiculous. But it is actually better. I can travel outside the city a little bit now.
Oh, I think that wheels.
Say that again.
That was great.
He's got wheels.
I had to process it, but I like it.
So I'm getting out. I'm doing a little bit more. I'm working. If you look at my channel, there's more gaming. I built this whole insane setup with the help of some friends and my wife, and so now I can game, which is fun.
Where's the mouse?
I get my ass whooped.
It's Talk to Mouse. Over there. No, over there.
Click his head. Right. Click his head.
Oh. Damn. No, seriously. Right there. All right. Now I understand. Well, you can. Okay. I would be.
I'd be god awful.
Mouse on
well, okay. So what you don't see is on the right side. There's a little bit more space. I have it cleared off for the mouse, and I have a split keyboard. So on the left hand side, there'd be a little split half keyboard down here that I can just work. I kind of like that.
I realized how silly it was, Drifter, to ask about your VR endeavors as you're laying in the bed now. But how much time can you be up and about in a given day?
In a given day, I'm trying to expand that time. I'm probably up 2 or 3 hours total, maybe 4.
Can you drive
on the day? Yeah, I can drive. I can go. The big issue is really sitting. Sitting, I don't like more than about 15 minutes. I can deal with up to about an hour if I'm in a lobby and I can get up and stretch my legs a little bit and stuff. If I end up having to sit around for more than an hour, I can kind of get fucked up, which is bad. So I do have a lot of uptime.
Like what happens if you sit too long?
Back starts getting tighter and tighter because it's got the little vertebra that slips around. Then I'll start feeling sciatica down one leg, maybe the other leg. The tightness will increase, and eventually it hits a point where the spine itself starts hurting. And the problem isn't that, okay, that's bad. I can get up and put an ice pack on and stretch. The problem becomes that pain can last for days or weeks, or if I really fuck it up, maybe a month or something. So I can't just say, it's fine. I'll push myself today.
Do you have to lean in different way? I remember from like TV shows, imagining that bed sores were a bigger problem than they were maybe. Like, do you have to worry about that, or do you just shift around?
So far, I haven't had bed sores. It does suck. I can only lay on my back and not my side, so that's a fucking L.
As by
that must
far the
suck.
laziest person here, I could tell you, you must really have to lay in that bed and not move at all to get bed sores, because the way he's got his mouse, I'm like, yeah, when me and you used to play Age of Mythology like religiously,
Yeah,
all that was in bed.
that's
I
how
would
you
be
played.
Yeah, I get in bed. I take a mouse pad wouldn't work, but I had this big like poster board. You know, it's like you would do like a class project.
Yeah.
And I use that as a mouse pad, and you know my laptop in my lap in bed, and like, you know, my notebook full of all my notes.
Yeah, your
strategies and
builds.
stuff. Yeah.
Man, I could not play a game that intense. I can't even do this show leaning back. I feel like I have to be leaning forward to be more engaged.
When I make gaming videos for YouTube, literally every single one of them is from bed. Like I always gamed in bed. I would just sit up in bed with my controller and the TV like at the foot of the bed. I thought the idea of having a monitor and a desk and a chair while playing Call of Duty on a controller was so silly.
Right.
Like, what are you doing
when you can lay in bed?
It is
more
kind of
comfortable.
What are you going to work over there? Get your fucking couch.
Yeah, but
dude.
don't you do that thing when you're like, especially doing multiplayer like Call of Duty, like you take one bad death, you lean forward.
Yeah,
like,
you lean
like
forward.
shit. Now
yeah.
you're like shitting posture because it's business time.
I remember
That
going
happens
back,
here
like,
too. I'll slowly like start doing this,
Yeah.
like leaning into the monitor.
You go back like 12, 13 years, it'd be like, oh, my KD's like 0.7. Maybe if I got a bigger TV.
That's the problem here. All these fucking 11-year-olds beating my ass have the best TV money can buy, and I'm sitting here on this
That
boob
made a
tube
big
CRT.
difference in the Xbox 360 era.
We will get Drifter with us momentarily. Wow.
Oh, hold up. Sorry. Having some camera problems here. And
We were just saying that
we're
as a
back.
game.
Hey,
Whoa, you're upright.
You're ambulatory. Look at that.
No, you look like in the like those old 90s
you guys ruined
shows.
the gag. We had a whole like reveal going on here.
Nobody thought that.
You wanna pull it back up? You know, screw with it a little bit. You guys are
That's
too
funny.
smart. Too much production value, man.
Yeah, you weren't playing. You weren't close enough to it. It's close though.
Yeah, you should have it show up with a star wipe.
I wanted to kind of lean forward, but I figured that would look weird.
No, you look like in those 90s movies where like the character's supposed to be sleeping in like a dream and they start floating off the bed.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Kind of looked like, I think
Or like
Sopranos
every
was
Disney
that.
Plus production, if you look close enough, you can just kind of see the keying.
Cotton Hill.
Can
Now
I
you
also say
you
three
are in bed, and we're not going to be fooled by it.
Yeah. No, this bed is real. I'm doing a lot better, like tremendously, but I'm not sit up 3 hours for a podcast level better. I'm still a
We
little
barely are.
limited. Say that again.
We barely are.
By the end, we'll just
It's collapse like a marionette.
So what? All right, let's do this. What how are you feeling? What do you have now?
I don't have anything new. I think I have less things going on, and I feel a lot better. The entirety of the story since last time is I got treated for the tick-borne illnesses, the nasty ones. I was better for about 2 months, and then in the spring, I started feeling super shitty again. Went back, got tested, still positive, went back to the doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, we'll do it again, but more extreme this time. So I took atovaquone, azithromycin, and clindamycin, and about the highest doses that you can take at home for about as long as you can. Anything more, I would have probably need to check into a hospital for.
Cleaned you out.
Yeah. Oh, it did. Yeah. Atovaquone is anti-malarial. It looks like paint thinner, it tastes like paint thinner, terrible stuff.
Chlamydia, no more.
yes.
Yeah. Did all that. Pretty rapidly started feeling better. I have made more progress since the treatment ended in June. I've made more progress since then than I have in the last 3 years. Literally Tuesday. So 2 days ago, I graduated PT. They said I was so healthy, it was not necessary for me to be there. I can continue working out, building strength at home. Standing time increased, driving time increased, sitting time. Sitting is slightly relaxing instead of horrible. So like if I it used to be like, I'll go to the grocery store and then I'm fucking cooked and I need to take like a 2-hour break. Now I can just sit for like 10 minutes and then go do a different thing. And it's not such a big deal. You know, we're stacking multiple things. And honestly, almost everything is better. I'm a long way from well. I kind of went through hell on this one, but the trend is good. And I'm praying to God and everything holy, that every little creepy crawly in my body is dead for good, and I never, ever, ever have to drink tovaclone ever again.
What
That's
is
the whole thing.
Tovaclone? Is that a
That's the malaria drug?
It's an anti-malarial drug. It looks like highlighter fluid and tastes pretty similar. You mix it with milk and then drink it, and it absolutely
milk?
cleans you out. Yeah, because it has to have fatty foods. So I would eat like fatty burgers and pork and drink this gross
Sounds
shit milk.
horrible.
It was terrible. It was not fun. We cut the treatment about 2 weeks short because it was starting to give me some heart troubles. I think the azithromycin, or maybe Clinda, I can't remember which one, can cause heart palpitations. I was starting to get those, so we pulled it a little early.
Is that antibiotic, the erythromycin?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all antibiotics, and it seems to have worked. I'm on 3 months post-treatment, constant progress. Everything feels a lot more normal. You know, it used to be like, I told you stories like I would pour the cereal milk and sprain my wrist and it was just done for like 3 weeks. No more of that bullshit, a lot more resilience. If I sprained something, if I hurt something, I fell down the stairs the other day. It's like normal, like a step or two. It's like normal. It's like you hurt something and you rest it a couple hours, a day or so. It's fine. I'm doing that train now instead of, I hurt something. Well, there goes the month, you know. So it's all very positive. No new diagnoses, no doctor visits, no anything. We're actually minimizing things. I'm going to attempt to return to some version of normal, like a lesser version of normal. I've gone from being like 90 years old to maybe like 60. So
how old are you actually?
37. Felt like
37.
90 for a long time. So it's all very positive.
If all these high tech solutions don't end up working, at some point you need to go to a faith healer or something, right? You just gotta invest in some alternative approaches. And I'm not being bigoted whatsoever. I say
no, he'll go to a lesbian witch if he needs to.
Try all the different religions, but not all at once. Like be all in on one. And then if that doesn't work, then you can be like, all right, backing away from that. Clearly, fucking Islam isn't the solution here. Let's try Christianity. When you know, I feel a lot better. And then because if you try and do them all at once, whoever is a god is going to see.
You should be a Lyme doctor. I briefly attempted to engage with the Lyme, because I didn't have Lyme, but had a couple of diseases very similar, kind of in the same family. The Lyme community, the most scammy, ridiculous, anti-science, ridiculous, conspiracy-driven bullshit I've seen in my life since QAnon. And I shit you not, I went to there's like a website where they'll refer to you Lyme literate doctors in your area, doctors that have expertise in Lyme and will treat you outside of the normal medical system because doctors don't understand this rare disease. First one was a naturopath who sold for $25 a bottle prayer prescriptions. They were little pieces of paper with prayers cut up in a bottle, and he would prescribe you these prayers to read once a day for $25. He literally on the site, it said Christian and Jewish prayers only. Islamic prayers don't work because Allah doesn't exist.
Whoa!
All sorts of religious stuff, all sorts of weird faith healing, vitamins. There's a huge amount of people are trying like weird herbs, like I think some sort of protocol where you take like 37 herbs. The other doctor it referred to me in my area, I found out doesn't have a practice. Why, you might ask? Because he's in jail for writing prescriptions to sell the drugs for. Like he was just like writing prescriptions for himself and selling them. It was wild.
There's a law.
It's a terrible experience.
Yeah, he's just a drug dealer.
That's what a doctor does.
Pretty much.
That's what a lot of them are. A lot of them are drug. I guess they're all drug dealers in that way. Yeah.
Lyme community's terrible, horrible, conspiracy ridden.
Isn't it one of the diseases where like they genuinely really don't know a lot about it though? Like,
yes, and that's the ironic part. Is I instead of being pissed off at these people like QAnon or like anti-vax guys, I've kind of gone through this myself. I feel for them. The education around this topic is very minimal in med school. Even for something like Lyme, which you've all heard of, you would be shocked at how many times you go to a medical professional and they say, nope, that's impossible. No, we're not going to test. Now, I've had doctors tell me Lyme's not real. It's just people stressed out and they imagine their symptoms. Just like all sorts of wacky stuff. So you have a huge community of people. It affects like 100,000 people a year. You get all these weird, fucked up body-wide symptoms and arthritis at 25 and stuff like that. And almost everybody's experience,
I'm so glad I don't have Lyme disease. I've been bitten by so many ticks in the woods.
I've been ticked up and I never got any.
You could have got what I got from those ticks. You don't want it. But I feel
No.
for these people because they go to doctors, they have the same experience I have. Well, you've got anxiety, you're stressed out. This is hypochondriasis. This is some sort of Munchausen. This is nonsense. None of this makes any sense. Go get therapy, go away. And these people that are fucked up by Lyme can't even get tested for it. And they're desperate and in horrible pain. And the only people offering them solutions are all sorts of crummy, like naturopaths and homeopathic doctors, and go to a chiropractor for your Lyme treatment. But they'll take you seriously. They'll listen to you instead of telling you to go piss off. But they'll just
Counterpoint,
tell
did you even try any placebo?
Fuck no.
You didn't try
Fucking
the
stupid.
prayer
You
sheets?
should have had some sugar
No.
pills and some prayer and see if it cured you.
I mean, it's like
That's how-
it's definitely like a more comfortable thing to imagine that like a doctor knows, like when you, if you something's wrong with you and you go in, like you want to believe they have like total knowledge of the subject and can just be like, bing bang boom, this is what needs to happen. But like, if you know doctors in your personal life and have ever heard them talk about something as like benign as nutrition, you're like, oh fuck, like there are a huge number of blind spots in these people's
I've
work.
never had
as
a
of
doctor
course it would
figure
be.
it out. I've never once had a doctor figure my thing out. I swear to God, every time I've been to a doctor, I figured the thing out. I came in, I was like, hey, it's folliculitis. Yeah, it's folliculitis. I got to keep that hot tub clean. Oh, let me take a look. Yep, that's folliculitis. All right. Or that time I had fucking syphilis and they were giving me what's that? God, prednisone. They're giving me prednisone for syphilis.
No, I don't think that's what they're supposed to
What
do.
the fuck does that
Prednisone
do?
is a
Oh, it's a
steroid,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
But not a good one. Not
you
the
would
good
need
one.
you need antibiotics for syphilis.
I didn't even
right?
get biceps.
Yeah, shot in the ass cures it. I had to go. I had been going to that doctor 2 or 3 times for the syphilis symptoms, and she had me using olive oil on my hands and fucking taking prednisone. I was wearing
What the hell does
gloves
that
with
do?
olive.
You're waking up in the morning
The
putting
skin
olive
peeled off
oil
my
on your
hands.
hands.
All
Yeah,
the- so the skin
how much
peeled off my
was coming off? Can
like
you
the
show?
whole palm. By the end, the whole palm was like the skin was gone, like down
Oh,
to
so
this.
you like degloved almost top layer?
So it goes down to this pink baby layer that you have to be so careful with. So like I would wear surgical gloves full of olive oil all the time. All the time. Like all day I'm gaming. I'm gaming with olive oil.
No.
Yes, I'd sleep with
Did
them.
it hurt
I'd
your
sleep with
KD
them.
ratio?
Do you,
I
you
had to
like
make
go to a
videos
restaurant
like
or
that.
go
I couldn't
shopping
grab
with your
the-
serial killer gloves?
I had
Sir,
my,
no
I,
outside condiments.
I had my olive oil gloves on, and then I put tactical gloves over that to make YouTube videos.
Hello, my friends. I am syphilis riddled and I smell like an olive garden. It's time to blow up a refrigerator and then go back to moistening my palm.
And the
I
bottom
gotta
of
hand
my-
it to you. That's
the soles
very
of my feet
Chadley.
too.
It is
The
Chad.
soles of my feet too. They were peeling off, but not nearly as bad. But my whole palms by the end were just this pink skin that was so tender and
Oof.
like painful.
How fast
And-
did it start happening? Was it like, oh, that's weird. My palm, there's some loose skin, or was it like,
It starts with like a little like dead white like circle of skin that you sort of pick at and scratch off, you know, like oh, it got a
Athlete's
little-
foot, maybe?
No,
like this
Um,
is a bacterial thing?
it'll be it like and it'll just like spread and you just like keep and there'll be like a perimeter that's sort of ragged and hanging off and you're like, oh, let me pick that loose skin off, but you just keep going until there's none left.
Oh.
Just keep going until there's none left.
Dude, if you wouldn't have got that taken care of, I'm
Neurosyphilis.
pretty sure the way that syphilis goes is you would eventually your palms and the soles of your feet would have gone back to normal on their own, and then you would have been in like a 10 to 20 year waiting period until you became
Neurosyphilis.
Al Capone.
Al Capone. Yeah. It eats your brain. Yeah, you
That's
go
weird.
asymptomatic, including your non-transmissive after like a year or 2 years or something like that, or maybe even sooner. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah,
how
all
do
it
you
was-
miss or ignore all the skin falling off?
I'm
your
just
hands?
on the
I don't know.
internet. I was genuinely on Google Images searching like skin peeling off palms, going from, and there are some gross pictures when you do that. And I'm just looking for the palms that look like my level of gross. I'm like, that kind of
Let's
looks
see
like
here.
mine.
You're looking down at the slipperiest keyboard you've ever seen. just it's covered in olive oil.
Ooh, yeah, those are not pleasant images.
Yeah, it's
After a
fucking
while,
dreadful.
your
I don't know.
palms heal up, but then you go crazy and you get really into amateur porn, police videos, and women fighting cars.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I don't
you go to
know.
hell.
What
go
do
to
you
Dr.
hydrate with,
Thunder.
Drifter? Do you honestly hydrate mostly with water?
I drink almost exclusively water, a little bit of milk. I might drink juice like once a week. So the reason for this is I grew up in a family where they drank soda instead of water. I was belittled for being feminine, girly, Other words I can't say here at dinner because I wanted to drink water. Also
Not
because
true.
I didn't like ice.
They wouldn't call you that.
Say that again.
They
actually
wouldn't
missed
call you that.
Okay. And
I'm lost.
so everybody in my family would just drink soda instead of water, and it was normal.
Mhm.
A ton of people in the community were the same. And as I had health problems as a kid, probably related to this crap I got now, and I had to take diuretics for a couple of years. And the doctor said, if you take loop diuretics, you cannot drink only ginger ale. You know, that'll make you sick as hell. So I had to go hard water, and it was like the biggest change. My whole body felt healthier, better, more normal. So even after the meds were done, that habit stuck, and I'm like water only. And I don't drink alcohol for other reasons, but
Got some lemon in there at least.
Do you like are
No.
you a fancy man sometimes? Do you like a nice sparkling water?
no.
Oh,
That's
I usually
static
drink tap
electricity
water, to be honest. Tap water, bottled water, regular water.
That's your problem. But I just
Or-
solved your problem. It's that tap
What?
water you've been drinking a gallon of a day.
it's
still
true. You're getting too much fluoride.
Well, I guess so.
Oh my God, no.
Did you see that? They came out.
I tested it. I tested it myself. I was,
much
you know what? You're
fluoride.
right. I was so
had water
fucked up and
tested.
scared about so many things. I bought a home test kit and did the home test kit. We were very normal and safe within fluoride limits.
Fair.
What did they
I
say?
mostly just
Taylor?
drink
What'd they
water, and there's
figure
nothing
out?
wrong with that.
Oh, they're saying
Tap water makes you
was it?
gay.
is the U.S.
Well, you know, they did put
Department
chemicals
of
in the water to
Health
make the
and-
frogs gay.
Yeah, the U.S.
Mhm.
Department of Health and Human Services says that fluoridated drinking water can lead to a 2 to 5 point IQ drop in children when it's at too high of a level.
I never had
It has to
any.
be double the recommended amount.
We had a well
You
Artesian
get a well,
water.
so you probably
Yep.
didn't get any.
my entire
Yeah.
life, my entire childhood anyway, had a well. When it would rain though, the water would get muddy. So that when it would like come like a
Oh.
really big like rainstorm, like the shower would run red because it's like that red clay in Georgia. It's like, oh,
Ever have animals die in it?
no, I mean it's covered up and everything. It's just like something
Okay.
would happen with the underground water table where it would get muddy.
I
Like,
mean,
it was-
there must be a little dead chicken in there, right? Like,
no,
had a
we're
dead
so
cat
far
once.
from the dead chickens. Like
a
that's a
touch.
concern. That's a
There's,
concern. Like there's
like,
wells over there near the dead
dozens of
chickens.
feet away.
Thousands of yards away. Like
Yeah,
we would
that's
never
a-
go near the like there's a well over there near where the chickens have been buried. And I'm like, that's a car washing well. That is not a people
That's
drinking
old
well.
salmonella well.
How thirsty are you? Oh, salmonella would be a blessing compared to whatever's down in those chickens.
Whatever evil would just be
You gotta
rotting away.
imagine, they dig a big, deep hole, as deep as a backhoe will reach into the ground, and then it's made to size because there's a concrete cap that you move from one to the other every time you fill one up, and it's got holes in it, and you open that hole, and there's just evil down there because there's thousands of pounds of rotting chickens.
Do you
Dude,
fill
every-
it with something like concrete? or
Chickens,
is it-
Taylor.
Just chickens.
Fill it with chickens.
Just fill it with chickens.
No, every
There's no
day-
space in
getting
there.
it, Taylor.
Fill in the cracks with emulsified chickens.
You do almost look. They melt
Yeah,
they're
it's
in
awful,
a
sludgy.
hot environment.
Ugh.
They melt in like 24 hours or something, and the bacteria is so high down there that when you look down there, it's just swarming maggots and black rotten flesh, and
Ugh.
the most putrid thing you can imagine. It smells.
I'm glad you don't use
so
that
bad.
well.
I think it's like
Nah,
the end of the movie.
They don't use that
Synthesia.
well anymore, though.
That's exactly what happened to my spine.
It's not.
Yay.
Oh,
Did you got
1960
hit by a-
style?
by a
Fuck
helmet?
yeah.
A helmet hit you? What happened?
So, back problems. About
Yeah.
90% sure my junior year of high school, I had to substitute play offensive line. Not really what I'm good at. And
You're not built like an offensive lineman.
I went to a segregated white only private school for the richest kids in town. And I was the biggest next.
Amongst them,
Available.
you are the offensive
Yeah.
lineman.
So a really
So-
good football team, right?
Anyway, I was defense. I liked being fast and like fucking people up, jumping the line, under feet, stuff like that. I couldn't move this guy out of the way. So the guy who was my 1 year senior wanted to punish me for being a bad lineman. So with his head just full on rammed me right in the back, and it kind of bowed my back backward, and I felt something pop. Now, when you're a kid, you don't, it's sore for a day and it gets better. And you think, I probably sprained something. And then 20 years later, you go to the doctor and they're like, yeah, man, one of your bones is pretty fucked up back there.
Do they make you? I wish the doctor would make you like feel better when they're giving you news like that. They'd be like,
Oh.
"Oh, your back's pretty fucked up. You're a pretty tough guy." Wow, you walked in here like this, and then you.
That's a good doctor.
Okay, no joke.
I've had so many nurses like that. They're like, "You can take it, huh? Listen, you got really hot." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a big boy.
Yeah, strong man here.
Boy."
This never happens to me, honest.
And I do the same to them. I do the same to them.
My
I'm
dog died, actually.
But
to take a step back,
if they're giving me stitches or they're injecting me or they're taking blood, I'd be like, bet you know what you're doing. Bet you're a fucking pro. Like I talk them up. I'm like, I bet you never miss a vein. How many times in a row have you hit it and not miss? What, 100, 1,000? Come on, be honest. You know what you're doing. You working this shift? You got to. And then I'll be like, please hit my vein the first time.
It's bad when they don't. Had somebody miss once. Awful.
Yeah, that's true.
I've told the story before. I went to give blood, and I'm the stupid dad joking guy. I'm like, oh, first time? And she didn't answer. She wouldn't tell me. She wouldn't admit to it being her first. And I was like, wait, seriously? First time? Now, I'm like, all right, well, I'm your guy, right? If you need someone to give blood,
experiment on,
take blood from the first time, I'm pretty calm. I've done this before. And my veins, people like, I don't really know how to spot an easy to see vein, but they tell me I have them. And I mentioned that one time before, and they're like, yeah, I can see it from 16 feet away. Your vein is easy to find. She didn't find it. She messed it up. She put it in excruciatingly slow. And then she kind of freaked out and got nervous. So she pulled it out a little and then pushed it back, and then no blood was coming. But blood, it wasn't coming out of the needle thing.
But bleeding.
Dude, it's all over my clothes. It's on my shorts. It's on my shirt. It's on the chair thing.
I'm getting a little lightheaded hearing.
I empathize with you so profoundly. That was my exact experience. Oh, we missed it. Hold up. Let me rifle it a little bit like a fish or like I'm sewing.
Yeah.
And that just made it 10 times worse.
So
I was cool about it, kind of. I was like, hey, no hard feelings. Everything's cool. But she's going the second try, right? And they're like, yeah, we won't give you her twice in a row. So that's how it went.
That's were you like trying to be kind about it? It seems like as you start bleeding, were you like, oh, whoa, like just
best two out of three, maybe.
It's okay, I got plenty.
Yeah, I think they switched.
There's a lot of air in there.
Handle that. I went unconscious last time I gave blood. Like
really?
Almost every time. I have to let them know. I'm like, you better get a wet rag handy because at some point I'm going to start going down. I don't know if it's from the lack of
joke, Kyle. If you ever like, oh my stars, I'm getting the vapors.
No, you have to be serious because they'll think you're joking when I'll be like, listen, I'm probably going to pass out or something at some point. It's not a big deal, and she's a medical professional, I hope, but I'm letting her know. I'm like, not a big deal. I'm going to pass out. It'd be like 10-30 seconds. I'll be back up. You got a wet washcloth or one of those gym paper towels, like that'd be great. It'd be great.
Yeah, not a big deal. I'm just letting you know. And also, that Camaro out front, that's mine. So just so you know, I am cool. I just don't
pass out. I'm a brave warrior.